Wolves. Yeah, you have to credit the doggedness of their defending, but really this was a team that came to be conservative, maybe nick a point. Best case scenario, you nick something on the break, and they very, very nearly pulled it off.
Give you a bit of headline team news for our 4:30 commentary game UK time, so in just under half an hour's time, with John Anderson, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Mesut Ozil starting for Arsenal. Paul Pogba back for Manchester United, Diego Dalot and Nemanja Matic have been an injury concern starting for Manchester United. In light of everything we've said about this fight for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th for the two final Champions League spots, what's your gut reaction how our final live game of the day is going to go?
Very difficult. I think Manchester United, just because I just spoke about momentum there, so if they can maintain that and start fast for us, if they get the first goal, I think it could be a difficult afternoon for Arsenal, but you can't write off a club of that ilk at home in front of their own supporters, even on the back of a really difficult week. You never know what Arsenal's going to turn up. I wouldn't be surprised if their big hitters put on a real display today, but I think that first goal, massive. If United get it, I expect them to continue in this amazing run that they're on.
So in the 11s we'll have Rashford, Lukaku and Pogba up against Aubameyang, Lacazette and Ozil.
I didn't know Lacazette as well. Blimey.
Very interesting indeed. That's our 4:30 commentary game. Quick word about the fight at the top of the table if we can. So obviously Liverpool getting their victory in the end against Burnley in our first commentary game of the day. Behind at 1 point, then pegged back a bit, but a couple of goals for Mane, a couple for Firmino. What do you make of Liverpool today and what statement they've tried to make?
Well, good today on the back of a difficult run when they've obviously dropped quite a lot of points, and I wouldn't say there's been a lot of criticism, but there's been question marks about potentially Jurgen Klopp being a bit more gung-ho in certain games to get them maximum points. I still feel City are going to have too much for us. That's been my opinion, I think, throughout the season. I've tried to come up with something complicated as to my reasons behind that. I just think there's a bit more strength in the midfield area is what I point towards. I think, yes, at the top end of the pitch Liverpool are fantastic and as fluid as anyone when those guys are on song, but I think there's just more options across the middle in the likes of Gundogan and the Silvas and such like. I think Liverpool are just a little bit light in that area in terms of creativity, and I think that's been the problem, especially you look back at Goodison last week, games like that when I think Manchester City would have found a way to create more chances. I think Liverpool just found wanting in that area somewhat.
So Liverpool 73 points from 30 games, Man City 74 from 30 and a superior goal difference, plus 58 to the Reds, plus 51. That's where the title race lies. Liverpool victorious earlier, Man City winning yesterday, very controversial opener as they eventually down Watford. That was one of several pretty exciting and pretty eventful games of Saturday. Let's remind you of how the best of the action played out from yesterday on Premier League Live.
Murray goes for goal and he finds the net in sensational fashion. Hosanic takes the Palace captain, steps up to the ball now and strokes it into the corner, and Palace are back level again to the area on his left foot. Curly one, it's a stunner. Anthony Knockout is right in the lead again. Set one up, Kane controls and scores. Dele Alli and Harry Kane combining. Now then, Armstrong cuts it in, chance, must be, it's gone in. Southampton through Jan Valeri, it's Ward-Prowse, it's in, it's magnificent from James Ward-Prowse. He, like Valeri, has scored for the second game running. It's another magnificent free kick and the whole game has turned on its head.
First time cross coming in from Murphy is turned in at the near post by Junior Hoylett. Ball Murphy heads it down, Camarasa trying to turn it in, and he does, and Cardiff lead by 2 goals to 0.
Running up the heart of the town defence, back through to Fraser, left hand side of the box, could he shoot? He does! But it's across the face of goal towards Callum Wilson, who, back after entering, scores for Bournemouth. They have opened the lead in the 20th minute. A great pass through though, towards Wilson, gets it back towards Fraser! 2-0 for Bournemouth.
Another through ball, hit out Vardy, through, easier. Space, looked around the goalkeeper, if it falls to Tielemans and just taps it into the goal. That was so easy. Space for a shot. Oh, it's a comedy of errors at the back for Leicester City. and Bodeite has cut inside Chilwell, cut inside Maguire, and then hit the most timid of shot early this season. Oh, the ball through now to Vardy. Again, defenders split. Chance now for Vardy up top early, and he shoots and scores. Too often this has happened today. Jamie Vardy plays it across to Vardy. Vardy hits it low, and the game is in no doubt. He's put it to bed. It's 3-1 to Leicester.
By Bernard to Digne. Digne with the cross. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, it's 1-0. Slice it low, cross, tap in, it's 2-0. Richarlison, 1-0 on the volley. It's a goal, and a fine goal. It's 2-1. Almiron with a shot. Sings the pass, shows Ellis, it's 2-2 it is. Turned in by Perez. Comes down. Charge for 3-2, it is 3-2. Perez scores again.
Christian Kabasele will come back to that, but they've got a chance here, City. An early chance. They've scored it, but it does not count. Raheem Sterling.
He's given a goal. Wow.
That can't be what's just happened.
Horrendous decision.
That is nothing short of a joke. Has a run of Sterling to find, and he does find him in the area. Raheem Sterling for a hat-trick. Yeah! And the hat-trick is gobbled up by Raheem Sterling.
So it all played out on Saturday here on Premier League Live. Manchester City setting their stall out, as we heard from Tom Brenny there at the top of the table. Liverpool winning 4-2 against Burnley earlier in the game that we just commentated on. Sam Parkin's old team Chelsea in the end getting a very late draw against Wolves, denied that league double for the first time since the 74-75 season. That game finishing 1-1, and at 4:30 John Anderson and former Man United and England defender Paul Parker, your commentary team for Arsenal against Manchester United, which should be an absolute cracker. Sam, one of the big talking points, of course, from yesterday was Mauricio Pochettino, the Spurs boss, losing out to his old team Southampton, and Poch saying that this team could well have reached its limit, while speaking to TalkSport's Alex Crook.
We are doing a fantastic job in the last 4 or 5 years, but I think we need more, and still we are not there. And I think it's about to improve our structure and improve in the way that we work. And of course, after 5 years working in a project, I think after 5 years is a moment to start. If we want to put the club in the last step, like the people is talking, is of course that we need to find a way to try to provide the team and the club that tool that is going to make us to be better.
Poch saying he's taken Spurs as far as he can.
In terms of the squad of players that he's got at the moment, he's right, Russ, because there's going to be enormous changes there. That's not to say that they won't finish this season strong, because if we know when they got their best 11 out there, they're a match for anyone, and that, I mean that in European competition as well. Liverpool got to the final last year. Were they one of the 2 best teams in Europe last year? Probably not, in my opinion. So I wouldn't be surprised if they had real success in the Champions League. Probably not winning it, but if they went to the latter stages, and in the Premier League they could finish strong. But yeah, I mean, a number of those players, Eriksen, Alderweireld,
yeah,
they're not going to be there. Wanyama, I wouldn't imagine is going to be there. There's a load of that player, the players that bolster that squad. Maybe not your Harry Kane's and your Dele Alli, but some of those players that have been very important for Mauricio Pochettino over the last few years won't be there next season. So it's going to be a big change. It's going to be a new cycle of players. Can they go again under him in the new stadium? That's the question. Will he still be there?
Final question. We had quite a few of those critical goals near the foot of the table flying during that montage a minute ago. So Newcastle up to 13th with 34 points. Palace 33 points. Brighton 33 points with the game in hand. And Southampton 30. Burnley 30. 2-point gap to Cardiff in the relegation zone with 28, and then Fulham and Huddersfield Cardiff with 17 and 14 respectively. So Cardiff get a win and still don't climb out of the bottom 3. Burnley being sucked back down. Southampton get their win, but they're still far from clear. Who do you see maybe the third relegation team being if, as we expect, Fulham and Huddersfield do go?
Well, easy to say, I suppose, Russ, but the bottom 3 as it is would be my hunch. I think Cardiff's games are the hardest. You know, having studied them quite a lot in the lead up to yesterday's game, I think Southampton's running, there's a lot more winnable games there. And I think there was enough in today's display from Sean Dyche's men to suggest they'll have enough goals in the team to get them over line in some of the big games against teams in and around them. Cardiff, I think, just left themselves a bit too much to do.
Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure. Good to be back alongside you. It's been too long. That is the brilliant former Chelsea, Ipswich and Swindon striker Sam Parkin, who's been alongside me, Russell Hargreaves, here at Stamford Bridge on Premier League Live. And don't forget, coming up in a couple of minutes, we've got a belter for you. Chelsea leaving the door ajar with their draw in our game against Wolves. Yesterday, Spurs, as we heard from a frustrated Pochettino, losing to Southampton. It's over to Arsenal or Manchester United to make a big statement in that fight for top four and get a win in what's always a feisty and historic contest. Arsenal against Manchester United at Emirates Stadium is next with John Anderson and Paul Parker. What a team. Up next, Premier League Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the ultimate football fan tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends the shot, what a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's readying himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2. Here's Maddison for Leicester. Vardy chance, Vardy goal. Leicester City out of nowhere have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Pogba believes it. Rashford hits it. Oh, it's a goal. It's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Cardiff City legend Danny Gavidan joins us on the preview show. He's got some new teeth. The former Millwall captain Matt Lawrence with us on the preview show. Former Liverpool striker Neil Mellor is on the preview show this week.
Subscribe to the podcast today at TalkSport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
Premier League Live with TalkSport.
This is a golden chance, and Marcus Rashford doesn't need a second invitation.
The only way to listen to the world's most exciting league outside the UK and Ireland.
It's a big chance here for West Ham, and they've got the equalising goal. A brilliant free kick right off the training ground.
We've got every single goal, every single weekend of the season.
Son to shoot, goal! Tottenham Hotspur have broken through.
English football at its finest.
Square pass to Kante, and now a brilliant finish from Gonzalo Higuain.
Premier League Live with TalkSport.
A very good afternoon. You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Arsenal against Manchester United from the Emirates Stadium. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Manchester United and England fullback, Paul Parker. This is Premier League Live. Welcome along wherever you're listening to us. Two of the biggest names in world football come together. And after vastly contrasting results on French fields in midweek. These two heavyweights continue their bid to secure a Champions League place next season. Victory for either would take them within touching distance of a sinking Spurs side who lost again yesterday. And the added bonus for them is the news that Chelsea have been held by Wolves. So a win today for either of these two could be hugely significant. Well, United's victory at Paris Saint-Germain on Tuesday's already gone down in the club's great litany of triumphs against the odds in European football, and has further enhanced Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's credentials to keep the manager's job on a permanent basis. It's worth reminding ourselves that the Norwegian has suffered only one defeat in 17 games now, and 32 Premier League points from a possible 36 have been accrued since he took over in December. By contrast, the Gunners' inept Europa League defeat at Rennes 3 days ago now features in the club's Hall of Shame, but they will be hoping to continue their spectacular home form in the league, which has seen them win 8 games in a row. That said, Manchester United are looking to extend a club record sequence of 9 straight away wins in all competitions, so something has to give in this 200th league meeting between two of the great names in English football. Well, the team news sees Arsenal without Lucas Torreira, who starts a 3-match suspension following his sending off against Tottenham last weekend. He's replaced by Aaron Ramsey in one of 5 changes to the side that were humbled in Rennes in midweek. Bernd Leno, Senad Kolasinac, Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Alexandre Lacazette are back. Lacazette from suspension. They replace Cech, Shkodran Mustafi, Matteo Guendouzi and Henrik Mkhitaryan. Manchester United also have a player back from suspension, Paul Pogba, who was absent in Paris. Nemanja Matic has recovered from injury to return to the midfield, while Diogo Dalot also starts. Scott McTominay, Andres Pereira and Eric Bailly are the players who make way. Anthony Martial is fit enough to feature among the substitutes. So Arsenal have Bernd Leno in goal, a back three of Socrates, Laurent Koscielny and Nacho Monreal. Across midfield, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Granit Xhaka, Aaron Ramsey and Sead Kolasinac. Up front, Alexandre Lacazette, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Mesut Ozil, who many felt might be left out in this game, but starts for Arsenal. For Manchester United, David De Gea, of course, is the goalkeeper. The back four is Ashley Young, Chris Smalling, Victor Lindelof and Luke Shaw. Holding in midfield, Nemanja Matic, who's fit again, and Fred. Diogo Dalot will play a role up front, the young Portuguese player who's normally a right fullback. He'll be on the right side of the three in midfield with Paul Pogba and Marcus Rashford. And up front, Romelu Lukaku, who scored 6 goals in his last 3 games for Manchester United. Delighted to have Paul Parker alongside me. It's always a big occasion when these two meet, whatever the circumstances. But with Tottenham having lost and Chelsea having drawn, the spoils on offer for the winner here have suddenly been just taken up a notch, haven't they?
They have, and it would actually lift them into a better position, a stronger position. That's on the Manchester United side I'm talking about here, to put themselves level on points with Tottenham, same amount of games, and then it's about Arsenal and Chelsea, what they're going to do next. The most important thing for Ole Gunnar and Manchester United is for him to carry on doing what he's doing. All they can do is keep winning games. We have to remember that it was talked about a couple of months back that Manchester United weren't good enough to finish in the top 4 spot. So I think he's gone and proven that they're definitely good enough to maybe to compete to get in there, but always the whole thing boils around the fact, are they good enough to stay in there? Once they can cement the spot in there, can they keep in there? And that's the most important thing. It's a bonus at this moment in time what Ole Gunnar's gone and done, because a lot of people never believe that Manchester United would have been competing now for a Champions League spot.
Well, it's unthinkable really that there is a genuine possibility now that Manchester United could finish in the top 4 and Tottenham could miss out. I mean, it's completely unthinkable when Solskjaer took over. I just want to ask you about the the respective results in Europe. Obviously, Manchester United were on an absolutely massive high after that win in Paris, regardless of the fact that it was a rather controversial penalty that sealed it. Whereas the opposite end of the scale is Arsenal, who were absolutely atrocious against Rennes. How will those respective results have affected the two teams in the run-up to this game?
Well, United are on a big high. Everyone's on a big high. Everyone wants to talk about it. On Arsenal's point of view, they all want to forget about it, and they want to believe, but that's got nothing to do with this game. It's a completely different tournament, and one's a league, the other one's a cup competition. That's written out. They're saying clean sheet, it's a new sheet, let's start again. And that's what we'd be hoping for, Emery, that the players have put that in their mind, and the fans have as well, and they can move on.
Well, let's hear from the two managers ahead of this big showdown. Unai Emery of Arsenal, of course, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Against Manchester United, it's a very tough match against them in their best moment in this season. But we are going to play with our supporters at home, and we want to create a big atmosphere for help us.
Same decisions that you always have when you go into a game. One, you've got to consider their approach. What systems do you think they will play, which is impossible to predict because they change a lot. But then you need to look at who's fit and how we want to approach the game as well. It might different kind of systems, or is it a counter-attacking game? Is it a different type of game you want? It's all sorts. But now, of course, the fitness issue plays in more than ever because we've got players coming in. We've got players who put a proper shift in. One of the hardest nights we've had, as in output physically. Probably this one and the Arsenal Cup game are the two hardest games we've had, and it was great to have fresh legs. Scott, Fred, they do cover the ground so much, which must be something that we have to consider this time. Everyone likes to get complimented, and when you meet people that they're happy, and but that doesn't change my approach whatsoever. I'm quite good at focusing on what I shall be focusing on, and that's not thinking about that part of it.
Well, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer inspired Manchester United to a 3-1 win here against Arsenal in the FA Cup. They were 2-2 in the corresponding fixture at Old Trafford earlier in the season. How do you see this one going? Is the momentum with Manchester United?
I think it is. I think everyone's expecting Manchester United to win this game against Arsenal. Arsenal's form suggests that maybe Manchester United should get something from the game, but Arsenal's strength this season has been the fact that they've been winning games at home. They haven't been convincing, haven't been outstanding at home, but they've been getting results. We know their defence is a problem for them. They haven't really kept the same players together in the same system. So that's something that Manchester United will be looking to get at, because now Manchester United are about attacking sides. It's quite funny, really, that previously it was always talked about Manchester United about need a centre-half. Their defensive record now is better under Ole than what it was before, and their game has opened up more because they've scored a lot more goals as well.
Well, the teams are in the tunnel waiting to come out. The referee is John Moss. It's a funny old day weather-wise in North London. We've almost had 4 seasons in a day. This morning it was blowing a gale, bitterly cold, but now the sun is shining above us, and we're ready to kick off in one of the most hotly anticipated, I know, around the world fixtures involving two clubs that have massive fan bases right across the globe. It's coming up in just a moment. Arsenal against Manchester United. You're listening to Premier League Live.
The Premier League preview show with Talk Sport.
Pogba leaves it. Rashford hits it. Oh, it's a goal. It's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
Talk Sport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Joining us on the preview show, the former Arsenal striker and most stylish man in football, Jeremy Aliadier. I didn't want him here, but he's turned up anyway. It's the former Chelsea man, Clive Walker.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends a shot, what a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's readying himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2. Here's Maddison for Leicester. Vardy chance, Vardy goal. Leicester City out of nowhere have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the Ultimate Football Fan Tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
This is Premier League Live.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Arsenal against Manchester United from the Emirates Stadium. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Manchester United and England fullback Paul Parker. This is Premier League Live. Well, in 1894, Newton Heath entertained Woolwich in a game which finished in an entertaining 3-3 draw. 125 years later, the clubs that evolved from those humble beginnings feature in one of the biggest games anywhere in the world in any season, and it's an absolutely fascinating prospect. We've got a team who have won 8 consecutive Premier League home games up against a team who have won a club record 9 consecutive away games in all competitions. They met in the Cup. Manchester United triumphed here. They met at Old Trafford and it finished 2-2. So we've had 8 goals in 2 meetings already between these great clubs. Manchester United have won the last 3 games in all competitions to extend this extraordinary run under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Played 17, won 14, drawn 2 and lost 1 under the Norwegian coach. The only one they lost, of course, was a game where they won the tie on aggregate. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was actually joking before the game that because it was a 2-legged tie, the first leg was half-time, so it doesn't count. And he's claiming that they haven't lost any games because they won on aggregate. But whichever way you look at it, his impact has been absolutely phenomenal. What's impressed me, I think, with Solskjaer, I think a lot of was spoken early on, wasn't it, Paul, about, you know, the motivation, the inspiration, the fact that he was part of the club. But I think he's shown himself, hasn't he, to be an astute judge, good substitutions. He knows when to withdraw players. He knows when to change tactically. He knows how to adapt with the rhythms of a football match. I mean, he's beginning to look like a real thinking man's manager, isn't he?
Well, I think there's a lot of people around him who are giving him advice, but still he's a man in charge. He has to make that decision. He lives and dies by him. So I think the only one people question him at the moment was the situation with Lingard in the home game.
Yeah, when probably put him on too early.
That was the one. That's the only time, but given how many games he's played and what he's done, hasn't been too bad. I think everyone will forgive him that one.
Absolutely. Lingard, of course, remains sidelined. Juan Mata as well, and of course Alexis Sanchez, who is out, unfortunately, fairly long term with an ankle injury, who's denied the chance to return to the club, which he graced so well at Arsenal. Some would say he hasn't reached anywhere near those heights with Manchester United, but the injury list isn't as bad as it was for United. Matic is back, Martial's back on the bench, Pogba, of course, is back from suspension. We're underway. Manchester United are wearing a sort of all dark grey, almost black, or is it navy blue? It's a very dark ink blue. Arsenal, of course, are in their traditional red and white. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer chewing gum, arms folded, flanked by Michael Carrick and Mike Phelan, all three of them former Manchester United players of distinction, and all three of them really helping to transform this club from the misery of the Jose Mourinho ending. That was the last time that Manchester United lost an away game at Liverpool, which led to Mourinho's departure. Eyebrows were raised when Solskjaer came in. Arsenal, of course, too, have a relatively new manager, Unai Emery, in his first season, having won treble Europa League successes with Sevilla. He's got a job on his hands to try and win the Europa League with Arsenal, having lost 3-1 against Rennes. Here's Socrates, who's sending off in that game, turned it because he was dismissed in the first half, and Rennes scored from the resulting free kick and went on to win 3-1, and deservedly so. Arsenal were dreadful in Brittany. Here comes Socrates again, but the ball is cut out by Matic. Pogba sends it forward, but only as far as Koscielny. Now it's Mesut Ozil, who finds support from Monreal. Ozil, who of course divides fans considerably, doesn't he? I mean, there was an interesting feature in a newspaper yesterday, I think. I'll come back to that because Arsenal are on the attack. The ball is a dangerous one. It flashes across the face of David De Gea's goal. Lacazette was at the near post. It was Kolasinac who played it in from the left-hand side. He's got a great left foot. That was an awkward one.
It wasn't. It came with a lot of pace from Kolasinac. He just gets it out on that powerful left foot of his, and he just fires it across 2-3 yards out. The pace of the ball caught out David De Gea, but there was only one player inside the 6-yard box, and that was Lacazette. And to be honest, he didn't see it until it was too late.
Well, it was a useful opening for Arsenal. What I was about to say about Ozil, they did a little thing about footballers and how much they earn compared to how many minutes they've actually played this season. Alexis Sanchez, if you add up the number of minutes he's played and divide it into his salary, he earns £11,000 for every minute he's played football this season. Ozil was third, it was something like 8,000. Christian Benteke was doing. So, when you've got a player who's on £350,000 a week, I think you'd probably expect a bit more, wouldn't you, than the amount of minutes he's played. He's often injured, he's been in and out, but it's an awful lot of money for not a fantastic amount of return at the moment, is it, with Ozil?
It certainly is. That's why he divides opinions, to be perfectly honest with people. And Arsenal at the moment feel they need him, so they need something to happen to create things for him. The problem is the manager's very, very worried about playing him in games of this magnitude. He's worried that he's not going to get in him enough. He doesn't actually work hard enough to get himself even available in these games.
Well, it's a free kick to Arsenal, who've started slightly the brighter. Granit Xhaka knocks it towards the far side. Kolasinac with his left foot tries to hoist it. It's an awkward one for United. Lukaku gets a touch. Back in from Koscielny. And then a spectacular overhead kick by Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He didn't quite get it right, Arsenal's top scorer. Bicycle kick about 12 yards from goal, and it's gone a long way wide.
Yeah, and that initially was a very, very good free kick, by the way. Ashley Young got caught out. He got more involved in what everyone else was doing rather than his own job, and it's allowed, I think it was Kolasinac, to run behind him, and it's just a shame really for Arsenal that he never actually got the ball across the box.
He's only got one goal in his last 7 games, Aubameyang, despite the fact that he's trying to get his 20th of the season here. He was substituted in midweek and didn't look very happy about it. Here's Ozil. Kolasinac has been lively in the opening period, but he's been ignored by Ozil. It's gone instead to Xhaka, who switches it to the near side, and the ball is pushed forward by Ainsley Maitland-Niles. And in the end, it's blocked. And Manchester United survived that little sortie by Arsenal, but at the expense of the game's first corner inside 5 minutes.
So it's been a good start for Arsenal. It's what you expect. The home side have gone in at the first corner as well.
Granit Xhaka's corner. It's come strongly and quickly onto the head of Lacazette, who couldn't adjust his position, and it's come bouncing off his forehead and straight behind for a goal kick. You're wincing.
It's just done saying, this watch saying the camera shouldn't have actually zoomed in on that bit.
Well, here's Aaron Ramsey, who's departing for Juventus, of course, in the summer. A few Arsenal fans on Twitter saying, why are we keeping Ozil when Ramsey's going off? Mind you, Ramsey could end up earning even more money than Ozil is currently earning at Arsenal. I don't think too many Arsenal fans would begrudge Ramsey. His big payday. He's been a fantastic servant to the club. Arsenal fans are in strong voice at the moment. We've just got an impression there of the fact that the wind is picking up as the ball was played across field. It moved a lot. And that's one of the things that players dislike, isn't it? Wind is always an enemy to the player.
Yeah, I think if you ask most players, they'll come and say playing in the wind is the worst.
Yeah.
The worst they could ever play.
Don't forget Twitter at TalkSport Live. There's lots of Gunners and United fans listening. Here's Aubameyang tussling with Smalling inside the United box, driven wide, and in the end the ball is driven poorly by Aubameyang. It was trying to lift it towards the far post, but got rather underneath it. Good defensive work by Smalling to push him wide initially, and when Aubameyang did get the chance to cross, it was a poor effort by him. He only really had, again, Lacazette attacking the goal mouth. Ozil was just behind, but it was a nothing cross, really.
Yeah, he got that little bit of good fortune, Aubameyang there, just sort of fact that Chris Smalling slipped in the attacking half. But even then, Chris Smalling was fighting back of him. He's just got to be careful of his arms, Chris Smalling, the way he was running back there.
Here's Victor Lindelof for Manchester United, a player who, among several, has improved immeasurably since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took over. Arsenal have it with Ramsey in centre midfield, finding Xhaka, and now Ozil. That's a clever ball into Aubameyang, who shoots on the volley. Well, there were almost echoes of Thierry Henry there, weren't they, with that rasping drive on the volley from 25 yards. This one dipped well wide in the end, but it was worth a go from Arsenal's top scorer.
It certainly was. It set up nicely for him. It's just one of them ones that if it does go in, you turn around and say you expect that from a man of that calibre, for him to actually take the strike from that distance and that early, because they're the ones that catch goalkeepers out, because they're not expecting that to happen.
Only Sergio Aguero and Mo Salah have scored more goals in the Premier League this season than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. As I mentioned earlier, he looked mightily displeased to be substituted in Rennes in the Europa League, and it was a substitution which was questioned by Arsenal fans. Here's Ashley Young for Manchester United, who haven't really got into the game yet. His through ball is intercepted by Monreal, who sends it high into the air. Xhaka, stooping, can only find Fred with his header. Fred plays it square to Luke Shaw. Possibility here for Manchester United to get a sight of Bernd Leno's goal for the first time. Pushed by Pogba to Shaw. Lovely cross! Oh, and Lukaku's effort has come back off the bar. Pogba plays it back into the box. Fred can't get there. Arsenal still haven't cleared. Rashford sets up Dalot, whose shot is blocked. It comes out to Ashley Young. Danger not over yet for Arsenal. Young's cross. Pogba. Weak header saved by Leno. Well, we waited 8 minutes for a bit of action inside the Arsenal box, and Manchester United certainly created it there. And Lukaku almost added to his 6 goals in the last 3 games as the game opens up.
I think we've seen already, it's not about how long you have the ball, it's actually when you do get the ball, it's what you do with it. And United almost done something now from their first touches in foreign territory, which is the Arsenal final third, and they nearly scored a goal. And in fact, they should have scored. Lukaku should have put that in the back of the net.
It's Arsenal coming forward now with Ozil, but Smalling's got in the way. Back it comes to Mesut Ozil, edge of the box. This time it's Matic who clears. Ramsey strikes it. It hits a United player on the edge of the penalty area, and it's all action now. The game has suddenly shifted up a gear, and Arsenal have another corner. Romelu Lukaku very close to getting a 7th goal in his 4th game, having scored 2 in each of the previous 3.
Should have scored that one.
Yeah.
He didn't connect with it properly.
No, it looked as if it was a goal when it left his boot, but it rattled the bar. Here's Xhaka, header away at the near post was by Diego Dalot, the young Portuguese player who's playing in a slightly more forward position. You predicted that, didn't you? Because, I mean, technically they've got 2 right-backs in Young and Dalot, but Dalot it is who's asked to push a little bit further forward than Ashley Young.
Yeah, because he can do a good job in there. His quality on the ball is a lot better than Ashley Young. He's a good deliverer of the ball into the box as well, and he seems to have grown quite accustomed to that role. He's fitted in there better than what he has when he has started at right-back as well. He seems a little bit more comfortable.
Here's Socrates, nice touch by Xhaka, but it doesn't find its way through to Maitland-Niles. Pogba trying to win the ball back. Pogba's got one of his more sensible haircuts, it seems, at the moment. He's gone for a fairly short crop. It's probably about as unflamboyant as I've seen from him in a very long time. Whether that's maybe he's trying to make a point that he's matured as a player, I don't know. Normally I haven't seen it close up, mind you. He might have some swirls in it or something. Anyway, here's Ainsley Maitland-Niles for Arsenal. Poor ball intercepted by Luke Shaw, who manoeuvres across midfield and then plays a poor ball himself straight to Monreal. Monreal to Ozil, tackled by Young. Young forward for Manchester United, trying to pick out Lukaku. Monreal in the way. Ball is loose in midfield. It's picked up by Sead Kolasinac, the Bosnian left wing back for Arsenal. Here's Granit Xhaka. We've had 11 and a half minutes. It's been a very entertaining watch so far. Here's Maitland-Niles for Arsenal. Tries to find Lacazette. Lacazette away from Shaw. Here's Xhaka, who shoots. It's off and it's in! Granit Xhaka for Arsenal. Completely wrong-footed David De Gea. I don't think there was a deflection there, but the ball has gone to De Gea's right with the keeper going to his left, and Arsenal have the breakthrough inside 12 minutes. It's Arsenal 1, Manchester United 0.
I think there was a little bit of good fortune there, and I think that's weather assisted as well there, because David De Gea was beaten far too easy with that, and the movement of the ball when he strikes it about not much of a backlift. He hits it and you could just see it. It just moves so quickly from right to left, and David De Gea just didn't see it. Just shifted a good 2 yards across as he hits across it goes to the right, and then it shifts across to the keeper's right hand side.
It's a really peculiar goal. It looks as if it's been wind assisted. There was definitely no deflection, but it was the sort of shot where you think, well, there must have been a deflection, because the trajectory changed so much.
Oh, the deviation on the ball.
De Gea is waving his arms around at the moment, going, well, what can I do? He went the way the ball would normally have gone, and you'd have expected it to be a routine save, but it's almost been blown into the opposite side. Incredible.
It's definitely caught everyone out with that one. I think there was a little bit of wind assistance there on that one.
Well, Granit Xhaka scored against Manchester United in a 2-0 home win 2 years ago, and he's done it again. It's his 4th goal of the season. A little bit of element of luck certainly about it. You feel for the goalkeeper, but we talked about the wind, didn't we? I mean, it's not as bad. This morning, people's wheelie bins were being blown into the street in North London. It really was high winds, but clearly it's going to have an effect, Paul, isn't it? We talked about it earlier, but that's not perhaps in the way we anticipated.
Yeah, but I tell you about the wind as well. I mean, Arsenal's all closed in as well, and the wind is getting into a stadium like that.
Yeah, it's incredible, really. But Arsenal aren't complaining, nor are their supporters. They have the lead early on. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer yet to taste defeat domestically. We're looking at it again from a good angle behind. It looks as if it's going straight to De Gea. And I don't think the goalkeeper's positioning is wrong there, is it?
I don't think so. You can't question David De Gea. He's there and he's gesturing. It just moved so much. And he didn't really cut across the ball either for that movement. So it's definitely the wind.
Well, it was a funny old goal, but Arsenal will take it as Monreal clears upfield. Hussein CFC-Aiden, who's just seen his team held, wants a 2-2 draw. He's listening in Lagos. Nice to have you with us. Ball forward towards Aubameyang. This time it comes straight to David De Gea, who's able to field it. Quarter of an hour gone at the Emirates. Remember, Manchester United were victorious here in the FA Cup. Haven't actually lost to Arsenal in the last 3 games, and they've won their last 2 games here by 3-1, so that could still happen. But it's a reality check for United after the extraordinary performance in Paris. Here come Arsenal again with Ozil driving forward, plays a low ball into Lacazette, room to shoot, Lacazette, well blocked by Young, but it's come up awkwardly. But De Gea is underneath it. Lacazette shifting the ball across onto his left foot. Young got across quickly. It spooned up in the air and David De Gea was there. Here's Young again coming forward this time. Nice ball infield to Lukaku, who's strongly tackled by Aaron Ramsey, and now Monreal back to Koscielny. Bernd Leno gets the ball wide to Monreal, which just about finds him. So United have hit the bar and Arsenal have hit the back of the net in the opening 16 minutes. Here's Lindelof. And now the Manchester United captain, Ashley Young, crosses halfway on the far side. He's got Fred just infield. He's going to go for the longer ball forward to Lukaku, who scoops it in towards Rashford. And there's a covering header by Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who gets it back to his keeper.
I think we have to say that United haven't really got going yet. Pogba hasn't been in the game yet. He hasn't had more than, every time he's played, it's been one touch. He hasn't had an opportunity to get his game going by having 2 or 3 and trying to get things in motion.
Just seen a replay of that Romelu Lukaku chance prior to the Arsenal goal. He just hit the ball down into the ground, didn't he? And it bounced up. It wasn't a true connection.
No, it was a poor connection that bounced down 2 yards in front of him, and that sent it straight up.
Here's sorry, Paul.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he hits that straight, that's going in the back of the net.
Yeah, he should have scored, particularly the form he's been in. He had a rather barren spell prior to this blitz of goals. He's never scored for Manchester United against Arsenal. He has scored for Everton against them on 3 occasions. And he's not renowned, Lukaku, for scoring in Big Six games either. He's only scored 1 in the last 17 Premier League games against what United would call their peers. So he hasn't managed to improve that record. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, hands in his pockets, is out on the edge of his technical area issuing instructions. As we said at the start of the programme, he does seem to react well to situations, Solskjaer, doesn't he? I mean, Alex Ferguson always said that he loved him as a sub because he knew that when he came on, he was a student of the game. He was watching the game properly, and he kind of understood the rhythms of it, and he'd come on and he'd fit in straight away. And I think maybe he's brought a bit of that to his management. Here's Lukaku, edge of the box, just knocking it back to Rashford, whose ice-cool penalty won the game in midweek. It's cleared by Arsenal only as far as Luke Shaw. Here's Paul Pogba inside the Arsenal penalty area, lays it square, it's struck low, and it's hit the post. It was Fred with his left foot, a good, precise, low effort on goal, and it hit the foot of the post, then it hit Leno, and it's gone behind for a corner kick. Fred's only got 1 goal in his Manchester United career, and he nearly had another there.
Again, that's United have managed to bring something up without actually really being in the game, and it comes off the post, hits the outside of the post, and to be honest, I thought that hit Leno.
Yeah, I thought it did. It didn't, though. No, we've seen it again. It did look as if it came off Leno's arm, but it clearly happened. So United have hit the woodwork twice in the opening 19 minutes, and yet they're behind. Here's Maitland-Niles for Arsenal. edge of the penalty area. Shaw's read it well, but it's broken kindly for Arsenal, who have it with Ramsey. Ramsey half tackled by Shaw. It comes back to Xhaka, centre midfield. Here's Socrates, the Greek centre half. He's going to push it out to Maitland-Niles. He's got room for a cross. It's knocked away by Lindelof towards halfway. Back goes Granit Xhaka. We're up to almost 20 very entertaining minutes so far at the Emirates Stadium, where a bit of a freak of a goal has put Arsenal ahead. Here's Maitland-Niles. Ball is down the line. It's going to be shepherded away. Plenty of tweets coming in. I'll try and catch up with them. It's always difficult when you're watching an entertaining game like this. But, well, there's a big debate about how much that ball swerved. We've just seen a shot from as if you're watching halfway up behind the goal. And, I mean, certainly Tom Rennie amongst them, one of our colleagues here at TalkSport Live, is saying it swerved, but not that much. I mean, our reaction is that I don't think we can pin too much blame on De Gea, who was just wrong-footed by the amount that the ball moved. Here's Aubameyang forward to Lacazette. We've got Ibsake rocks, and he says the ball comes straight at you, then swerves. De Gea really couldn't have done anything. The ball was just an odd goal, really. He's in Ghana. I'm assuming you're a he. Thank you for that. Keep them coming. I tend to agree with you. Alex Sandusky, my brother and I are listening to you guys as we go on a 3-hour drive to Kansas City to watch the Sporting KC home opener. That's the problem with being an American soccer fan, isn't it? The away games are always miles away, even if they're local. I mean, for us, a 3-hour drive is like going from London to Manchester, which is what the Arsenal fans have done so many times in trips to Old Trafford. Here's Mesut Ozil. Maitland-Niles inside the box finds Ramsey, who was arriving scorer, of course, against Tottenham last weekend, but he doesn't score on this occasion. The ball was just a little bit behind him. He wrapped his foot around it, but it went flying with a good degree of velocity over the crossbar in the end. Yeah, and that's what Maitland-Niles gives you as it goes. When he does, he makes those overlaps, and he got found by Ozil, but the ball wasn't meant for Ramsey. I think Lacazette was just in behind, and you could see his gesture towards Ramsey was leave it, because Ramsey did actually shoot, and the ball was behind him. Always going to be difficult. Smalling with the intervention, intercepted by Xhaka. Xhaka plays a long ball over the top. Again, the wind seems to hold the ball up a little bit. On this occasion, it worked in United's favour because it allowed Smalling the time to judge the bounce and clear. Here's Shaw, just up to halfway. Lovely first time ball by Pogba to Fred. Fred looks up for it today. Cross to Dalot. This is good from United. It's into the box. It's away by Koscielny. Shaw with a dink header. Rashford on the turn, and he's got it all wrong. The ball has ended up at least 15 yards wide. It's closer to the corner flag than the goal, but it was good approach play by United with midway point having reached in the first half. Yeah, they haven't done this enough, this kind of movement, but they've managed it. Shaw gives the ball with his head to Rashford, who's level with the penalty spot, and his first touch actually is looking to bring it forward. The ball doesn't come forward, and when he hits it, the ball is behind him, so he toes it out for almost a throw-in, I think it was. Yeah, it wasn't a very good effort in the end by Rashford. Here's Lindelof beaten to it by Lacazette. Lacazette with a double step over and a shot. Oh, and this time it was a deflection, and once again David De Gea was wrong-footed, but this time in the normal fashion, with a United player getting in the way of Lacazette's shot, which he was aiming towards the top corner. It was good play by Lacazette after initial hesitancy by Lindelof, and in the end it hit Chris Smalling on the shoulder. Interesting that Smalling has put his arms behind his back, mindful obviously of what happened in his side's favour in Paris the other night. We have to remember that's a Champions ruling. It's not a Premier League one. Here's Xhaka. You never defended like that in your day, did you? No. It came in about 5 or 6 years ago. You started seeing players I mean, they are fearful, though, aren't they? That they do need to clarify this handball situation, because it's getting silly now, isn't it?
Certainly is, but they can't have two rulings, one in Europe and one in the domestic league. Doesn't make any sense.
I agree. More tweets. Connor Robo1 is enjoying the coverage from Magaluf in Spain. As the great F2 Tex said, I don't know who that is, but I agree with him. The best things in life come from radio. Thank you. Glad to be bringing it to you. It's an entertaining game. We've had nearly 25 minutes. And Arsenal still lead by a goal to nil.
I think we have to say that Arsenal have adapted to the conditions better than Manchester United. I don't know which way the wind's going, but defensively, anything that's come long into that back foot of Manchester United, they have been so uncertain of the bounce. They're not going to attack it, they're waiting. And you're better off just going to attack it and just make sure that someone's around to pick up the second ball if need be.
Yeah, it's a swirling wind, isn't it? I like this tweet from Adi Yinka. Super cool, listening in Ogun State, Nigeria. That Xhaka goal is what you call a WAG goal, wind-assisted goal. Certainly was wind-assisted, and it assisted Arsenal enormously. Unai Emery's well protected against the wind. He's got a padded jacket. He looks a bit like a Michelin man wearing that, if you know what that means. Here's Pogba, centre midfield. He's gone for goal. Well, maybe he's feeling, understandably, that the wind might help him. He's thumped it from a very, very long way out. A distance I don't think you'd normally shoot from there. Maybe he just felt that the wind might do him a favour. But ironically, of course, the ball went straight into the gloves of Bernd Leno, who didn't have to move a millimetre in order to make the save. Here's Xhaka out to Nacho Monreal, who leaves it for Ramsey. Xhaka still deep inside his own half, plays it forward to Aaron Ramsey again. He manoeuvres a position well for himself and finds a forward ball to Mesut Ozil. Here's Ramsey again, very much involved in this Arsenal move upfield, but it's not at any great pace at the moment. Kolasinac back to Ramsey, back to Kolasinac again, and now Ozil once more. They're keeping the ball well, Arsenal, but they're not making any great headway. Finally, there's a tackle. It comes off Ozil. It goes away for a throw. Midway inside the Arsenal half. Goodness me. Vinay Iyer is listening to our coverage from an altitude of 35,000 feet. Where are you? I want to know where you are. That's absurd. How do you get any coverage up there? Can't be. I thought Mount Everest. He must be in a plane. He can't be on a mountain, can he? It's 26,000 feet Everest, isn't it? Oh, well. He must be on an aeroplane somewhere. I'd love to know where. Let me know. Here's Fred from Manchester United, who struck a post earlier on and hasn't always been a fan's favourite, has he, since arriving for a huge amount of money. He's played quite well today. Here's Ashley Young for Manchester United, finding Lukaku, who's also hit the woodwork. Fred again. This is Pogba. Pogba just changes direction and finds Lukaku, who's a little bit deep at the moment. Into the box, decent ball, Rashford! Oh. And that was flicked away. Was there a touch by Koscielny? Rashford thinks there was.
I think there was.
And I think by his reaction, the referee doesn't, because I think he's awarded a goal kick.
I think that's blatantly obvious that is a corner, just by the reaction. You can sit there and there's a challenge.
Well, there were two that flew in. Yeah, Socrates and Koscielny.
Yep.
No touch from Koscielny. You're right, but Socrates, he's definitely
done it.
That's poor. I mean, United should have had a corner there. I think the United fans inside the Emirates, who were at the opposite end of the stadium from where that incident took place, are maybe beginning to think it's not our day, because they've hit the woodwork twice. They've been subject to an absolute freak goal. And a couple of the decisions haven't gone their way either. De Gea plays it out straight at Ramsey in the centre circle, who finds Granit Xhaka. Xhaka to Koscielny. And it's a foul by Ashley Young. Loads of tweets coming in. I'm just trying to keep across them all at the moment as we We're being entertained by an excellent game. We've had 29 minutes. We've got a close-up on our monitor of Anthony Martial with his hood zipped up. Here's Xhaka with another dangerous cross. Again, one which isn't really a tap by Arsenal. It'll come through to Maitland-Niles. Double step over from him, gets to the byline, puts in from Shaw. It's another corner to Arsenal.
Again, that was Kolasinac who got in it. It's Lindelof playing him onside again. He doesn't stay in line with his fellow centre-half, Smalling, always 2 or 3 yards behind, and that allowed Kolasinac to get him behind again.
Yeah, he did that very early in the game. Here's the corner from Granit Xhaka for us. It's a deep one. It's nodded back by Socrates, but I think there's a little bit of pushing going on there involving the Greek centre-half. His sending off on Thursday totally changed the tide. I don't imagine his manager had too many complimentary things to say about the 2 yellow cards that he picked up. Both were fairly blatant. David De Gea has the ball at his feet and launches it long up towards Lukaku. It's a very good flick by Lukaku. Rashford just shielding the ball, finds Pogba, clever ball out to Luke Shaw. Shaw trying to get a cross in. He's been brought down there by Maitland-Niles. It's a free kick to Manchester United. And John Moss is just walking across towards Ashley Maitland-Niles, but no action further than the free kick.
The thing that surprises me that he didn't blow straight away. He took time.
Yeah,
it seemed like someone told him when it was obvious that it was a foul. His legs were taken. It wasn't anything malicious. It's just the ability, it's just the skill. He just cut it back inside, and Maitland-Niles got caught out.
Half an hour gone. Arsenal 1, Manchester United 0, but United with an opportunity here from a free kick in a useful position wide on the left-hand side, level with the edge of the area, taken by Luke Shaw. Dreadful delivery, but it might come out to Dalot, who's got underneath his shot and fired it a long way over the crossbar. Still waiting for his first ever senior goal, be it in England or Portugal, Diogo Dalot, and that wasn't very close.
No, it was a poor free kick from Luke Shaw. Dalot should have gone wide there. He's trying to shoot. Everyone's rushing at him. He had about 2 or 3 yards of space. Just keep possession. That's all he had to do there. Very similar to what happened in midweek, by the way. That's what he did when the balls come to him there. This time didn't get a penalty from it.
I couldn't find anyone's outstretched arm, unfortunately for United. Here's Pogba finding Rashford. Rashford, who of course did brilliantly well to convert that penalty under all that pressure. That's not a good point.
It's a corner.
He's got.
I could hear that. No, that is a corner.
Rashford again.
You could hear it.
Well,
that was a corner.
John Ross again is saying no corner.
That is poor refereeing again. That is.
You can see he's shouting.
You could hear the sound of it. Even like Ole Gunnar's laughing.
Yeah, he's talking to the fourth official.
Yes, terrible.
Adelodun Ade is listening in Lagos, Nigeria. Says listening to you guys on radio makes football great, especially when you're multitasking. Thanks, guys. Thanks to you as well. I suppose you've been commentating on the game while trying to read a screen. The screen is actually in a strange position, so sometimes you take your eyes off the game when you're trying to read the tweets. Here's Kolasinac finding Lacazette. And now Xhaka for Arsenal. 13 minutes to go to half-time in a very watchable game between these two great Premier League rivals. We've won it 16 times between them in the Premier League era, although Arsenal, of course, haven't won it since 2004. Neither are going to win it this season. But both appear to be entering in the midst of periods of transition. Arsenal under Unai Emery, United under Solskjaer, who surely will get the job. The draw, incidentally, for the Champions League quarter-finals will be made on Friday. That's when United will find out who they face next. They'll be keen to avoid Tottenham or potentially Manchester City. If City beat Schalke, you can be drawn in that quarter-final against teams from your own country. Those will probably be the ones they'll be trying to avoid. Arsenal have just been caught offside with Ozil straying too far forward.
And he's onside.
Yeah, you're right. He has just looked at it again.
Yeah, he was onside that time.
A few not very good decisions by the officials. None of them huge decisions, but Oh, hang on. Here's Vinay. To answer your question, I am indeed in an aeroplane, but it would have been cooler if it was from the top of a mountain. It would probably be cooler physically as well, I would think. But bon voyage, wherever you're off to or wherever you're coming back from. I didn't even know you could listen to us on aeroplanes. That's great news. I'm very happy about that. Next time I'm on holiday, I'll tune in myself. Here's Mesut Ozil for Arsenal, finding Alexandre Lacazette, who turns away from Ashley Young and plays a good ball into Aubameyang. Back to Lacazette, who was stumbling on the edge of the box, and as a result his shot went a long way wide. The question is whether he stumbled under his own footing or whether it was a foul. I think the referee is saying that there was no more than Lacazette falling over.
You see, he's come short for it, and as he's gone to strike it, his foot's given way. And he's hit it almost with the ball behind him. He's very, very lucky. I think he fell into Chris Smalling. He could have headbutted his kneecap.
Yeah. 10 minutes to go to half-time. Arsenal leading through Granit Xhaka's goal, which swerved dramatically on its way into the net, completely bamboozling David De Gea. Here's Aubameyang coming forward. It wasn't a good header by Lindelof. Both of them turned round, had no idea where the ball was.
that was a little bit of a comedy moment.
Totally. Normally, maybe you might see one of the players lose sight of the ball, but both of them did. Now Xhaka has been penalised for a foul.
No, honestly, I would say this referee is having an absolute torrid. Paul Pogba gets the ball and he treads on the ball.
Yeah, he does.
And he gives a foul.
He's given a free kick.
He's given a free kick.
No wonder Xhaka's annoyed. Oh, he's holding the ball in front of John Mosley.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
He's not had a very good afternoon, John Moss. Here's Lukaku receiving the ball from Rashford. Still Lukaku round the keeper, blocked, and then across, and Dalot will try and keep it in and does so. Leno did well initially. In comes the cross again towards Rashford, away by Socrates, and then Aubameyang. Matic tries to get forward. Arsenal finally clear. Lukaku, when he rounded the keeper initially, he followed it up with an angled shot. The keeper smothered it. The ball came back across the edge of the goal. And in the end, United can make nothing of it. We're looking at it again. Paul, he did well, Lukaku, good strength, but Leno did equally well. He threw himself at the feet bravely of Lukaku, and with his chest, I think the ball just bumped up, and Lukaku's follow-up cross, no one there at the back stick to put it in.
No, Leno as well went down, and he actually didn't make an attempt to get the ball. I think that kind of affected Lukaku, expecting the keeper to dive at his feet, and he didn't. He kept himself in a position to go again, and that's when he blocked it, Lukaku's initial shot. But again, it's another opportunity for United, and they haven't taken it.
No, they've probably had the better of the chances overall, United. There's no question.
But this is Arsenal at home. They've won games, but they haven't been convincing when they've won games. They give you opportunities.
Well, here's Lukaku finding Fred, who teases it nicely over the top towards Pogba. Pogba flicks it across. There's good cover there from Monreal. I think the referee's going to bring it back maybe for a foul on Pogba and a yellow card for Socrates. Seems a little bit harsh maybe. I mean, I think maybe it was a foul. I think the referee, to be fair to him, was trying to play an advantage. We're getting another look at it here. Pogba flicks it across and he goes flying in, Socrates. Well, it's a foul.
It's a foul. Maybe
yellow,
it's a foul.
maybe
No, it's not a yellow.
It's a bit rash, but
he's actually caught him with his shoulder as well.
Yeah,
Isn't if his foot's caught his ankle or his boot. He's not having a good time, the referee, I must say that. He's struggling to keep up with the pace of the game.
Yeah, he is.
He's not close enough to the game. Or I should say, to the ball.
Yes. He doesn't look the fittest, John Moss, does he? He's a very rotund figure as referee's goal. Here's the ball into the Arsenal box. Smalling goes in. Looks as if he was leaning a little bit on Kolasinac there.
He actually gave out the referee. He kind of gave it as a play on. He's given it.
More tweets. Wario G or Wariog, I'm not sure which it is. Diego Dalot's going to be aiming for an outstretched arm. Tells Socrates to take note. Darlington Nana Kwesi, I'm listening to you guys in Kumasi, Ghana. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you very much. You're very kind. Glad you're enjoying it. Lots of friends in Ghana. Here's Xhaka for Arsenal, the goal scorer, getting it forward. Again, it's hung in the air, hasn't it? Didn't find his way through to Ozil. United, the beneficiaries. Matic gets the header back. Here's Lindelof heading it forward. Every time the ball's in the air, it seems to go into slow motion. Arsenal come forward with Lacazette trying to find Ozil. And Lindelof is there to make the clearance. Arsenal pressing now with only 6 minutes left of the first half. It's Aaron Ramsey forward to an offside Kolasinac, who kicks the ball away in fury. They might be in a bit of trouble for that, potentially. Bello Monsuro, Omer West, with the way United is playing so far, I don't see them getting anything out of this game. Great job from you guys, hoping to sit with you one day. I'm not sure we can organise that, but let us know if you're in the vicinity. Keep the tweets coming, I'm enjoying reading them out, and it's been an entertaining match as well, so don't be offended if we can't get yours, because they're scrolling past me as the action unfolds. Here's Chris Smalling inside his own half, just pushing it forward to Fred. Fred's ball out to Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw to Rashford. They play a 1-2 and Shaw is on his way at pace. It's a good run by Luke Shaw. Rashford on the overlap. Rashford to the byline, cuts it back, can't find Lukaku. Monreal in the way, hoists it with his right foot high and out of play on the near side. That was better from United. Shaw and Rashford combining nicely down the left-hand side.
I think we're seeing already how vulnerable they are, Arsenal. You can definitely get out and get in behind them. It's just about finishing it more than anything. They score one, United, they'll go on and win the game.
Here's Dalot. Can't control it. Koscielny is across. Did it go out? Yes, it did. It's a corner. Well, yes, it did according to the assistant referee. Whether it did or not is a moot point. He's raised his flag on that far side. It is going to be a corner to Manchester United. There are Arsenal fans behind him. Apoplectic with rage.
I have to say, all of that ball did not go over the line.
No. Absolutely. I think you're right.
It didn't.
The problem with goal line technology, it doesn't cover the whole of the goal line. It should be called goal mouth technology, actually, because it doesn't cover the rest of it. Anyway, it is a corner to United. There's nothing Arsenal can do about it. 4 minutes left until half-time. It's going to be taken by Ashley Young. An out-swinging corner. Header away by Aubameyang. Back in the direction of Young, who controls it well, but he can't find a way past Ramsey at the moment. He's done really well. Ramsey emerges with the ball. Better than that for Arsenal. He's driving forward at pace towards the halfway line and crossing it, Ramsey, and finding Ozil. It's another offside. This is Ozil's furious. And what about this one? There have been quite a lot of marginal decisions so far that the officials have got wrong. I don't know whether this is the latest of them. Oh, yes, it is, frankly, isn't it?
I don't know. I really
don't. It's a question of whether Dalot's right foot is level with Ozil's left foot. It's a difficult one.
Marginal.
Yeah, you can maybe forgive that one and give them the benefit of the doubt, but here comes Smalling. Here's Chris Smalling finding Ashley Young, and all the way back to David De Gea, all in orange, beaten by a strange kind of effort from Granit Xhaka in the 12th minute. One of only 3 attempts on target in the whole game. The other 2 have been produced by Manchester United. Anthony Ofusu-Adé playing away at the Emirates against the Gunners. The fans and the wind is a mammoth task, but he hopes United taste defeat under Ole, so he can be handed a permanent, I think you mean United win, permanent contract on Monday. Enjoying the commentary on City FM in Accra, Ghana. 2 minutes of the first half remain. Prince Henry listening in Koforidua in Ghana. I want to salute you people for such magnificent work done. I'm enjoying your tremendous commentary. Thank you very much. We do have, we're very proud of our team of guys, both commentators and ex-pros like Paul, who provide such And inside, it's quite often actually as a commentator you sit here and you'll come out with stuff and I'll think, God, that never occurred to me. Mind you, Paul played in World Cups and I didn't. That's probably the difference. Here's Matic getting it forward towards Fred, and now Pogba. That's a lovely flick, and Fred finds Rashford to Pogba. This is lovely football by Manchester United. Raking crossfield ball by Pogba to Lukaku, who controls brilliantly, who finds Dalot. Dalot to Rashford. All it needed was the finish, and that would have been one of the goals of the season. Rashford's gone down in the penalty area with Xhaka. They're both injured. I don't think there's any question of a penalty. But that was an absolutely glorious flowing move by Manchester United, and it would have, if Rashford had scored that would have been a goal of the season contender.
It deserved a goal as well, just at the end of it, just from where it started from and how it was made. When you talk about precise pass and you talk about movement and you talk about patience and waiting to select the right pass, that move had everything all about it.
Well, it was a wonderful ball by Pogba. Super control by Rashford. There had been half a dozen passes before that. Then Dalot. He knew where Rashford was around the penalty spot area. Fair play to Xhaka. He went in hard with Rashford. They kind of bashed shins together, which can be quite painful. They ended up in a heap in the penalty area. But it's lovely football by Manchester United. And we're almost into the stoppage time period at the end of the opening half.
I think Xhaka done himself more damage rolling around after than actually when there was any connections. Well, he made 5 rolls, by the way. I counted 5 rolls he made after that challenge.
Holding up cards with a 9 out of 10 in gymnastics for that.
Wouldn't give him a 9 for that. It was terrible rolling.
3. Rashford is also down injured. United have had so many injury problems lately. Anthony Martial is back on the substitutes bench, but of course there's no Jesse Lingard, there's no Juan Mata, there's no Ander Herrera, there's no Alexis Sanchez today. Rashford is limping quite pronouncedly at the moment as he comes off. Richard Morgan, even though I'm in San Bernardino, I think that's in California, isn't it? Half a world away. You guys are doing the same top shelf job as always. Keep up the good work. Go Gunners. Thank you, Richard. Glad to have you with us. Rashford is still hobbling, but I think he's going to be okay, although at least it's very close to half-time, and Manchester United, even if Rashford is not able to get back on the field, will resist the temptation to make a substitution until he can be assessed. Xhaka is also off the pitch, but he looks in a bit better shape than Rashford. He's certainly not hobbling as much. It was a full-blooded coming together between the two, no hint of malice about it. Might extend the additional period by a minute or two. Here's Ainsley Maitland-Niles for Arsenal, who've been under the cosh at times but have preserved their goal lead. It's a free kick given against Alexandre Lacazette. Another flag up, and United want to take it quickly because they're running out of time in the first half. Here's Pogba out to Rashford, who's back on the field and fit again. Goodness only knows why he's being booed by the Arsenal fans. They'll be cheering now because it's come off his foot and gone behind. I never understand that with fans. I mean, there was clearly nothing in that challenge at all. I mean, Rashford and Xhaka went for a 50-50 ball. They hit each other hard. They both came to him. Why Rashford is being booed, I simply don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Well, I think it was the tumbles that you have to say Xhaka made after to make it maybe look a little bit worse than what it was to the Arsenal fans. But other than that, really, there's no reason.
None whatsoever. Here's a long ball forward by Bernd Leno. Back it comes by Lindelof. It drops for Kolasinac, who scoops it into the penalty area where it's dealt with by Chris Smalling. Dalot gets the ball upfield for United and finds Lukaku. Here's Fred. Another good ball by Fred. He's played a few of those out to Luke Shaw. Shaw's got Rashford up ahead of him. Rashford just looks to try and ping it across. Goodness me, that one's carried by the wind again. It's carried kindly into the possession of Sead Kolasinac, who's deceptively quick, actually, given his build. I mean, he looks like he could do with losing a few pounds or a few...
Or maybe
ounces,
maybe lend some muscles to some people.
Yeah.
he looks like a bodybuilder. But Dalot there was struggling. I don't know is he slow or not, but he looked like he had nothing there. Couldn't compete with him.
Well, another whistle blows. It's not the half-time whistle, it's a whistle for a foul on Fred, the Brazilian who's down for Manchester United. It's a shame, really, because the number of stoppages have halted what was a very, very fast, free-flowing game. The last 4 minutes or so, we're actually into the fourth minute nearly of stoppage time, when originally there was only meant to be 2. That is it. So Arsenal have the advantage at the interval. If they win this game, they will cut Tottenham Hotspur's lead to a single point and push Manchester United down into 5th place. It was a bizarre goal. Granit Xhaka's long shot seemingly caught in the wind, wrong-footing De Gea and ending up in the back of the net. United played some decent stuff, hit the woodwork twice, but at half-time it's Arsenal 1, Manchester United 0. You're listening to Premier League Live.
There's more to life than football, money and fun. Well, not much.
Kick off the new season with TalkSport's £1 million Predictor game.
Register now at talksport.com/predictor and play for free throughout the season.
Play it in the van. Play it on the can. Play it with your gran.
Win £1 million sterling.
It's the biggest prize in the history of TalkSport.
The TalkSport £1 million Predictor game. Players must be 18 or over. See talksport.com/predictor for full conditions.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends a shot, what a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's readying himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2. Here's Maddison for Leicester.
Vardy chance, Vardy goal. Leicester City out of nowhere have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League preview show with TalkSport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
He's put down the dumbbells and has turned up here for the show. Chris Iwelumo is on the preview show. A Premier League winner, Paul Parker, joins us on the Premier League preview show.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
Welcome back. Excellent opening half in which both teams have played a big part, but Arsenal have the lead. That bizarre swerving Granit Xhaka shot in 12 minutes, making it 1-0 to the Gunners. Let's relive the highlights of the opening 45 minutes. By Pogba to Shaw. Lovely cross! Oh, and Lukaku's effort has come back off the bar. Pogba plays it back into the box. Fred can't get there. Arsenal still haven't cleared. Rashford sets up Dalot, whose shot is blocked. It comes out to Ashley Young. Danger not over yet for Arsenal. Young's cross. Pogba. Weak header saved by Leno. Well, we waited 8 minutes for a bit of action inside the Arsenal box, and Manchester United certainly created it there. And Lukaku almost added to his 6 goals in the last 3 games. Xhaka, who shoots, it's on, and it's in! Granit Xhaka for Arsenal! Completely wrong-footed David De Gea. I don't think think there was a deflection there, but the ball has gone to De Gea's right with the keeper going to his left, and Arsenal have the breakthrough inside 12 minutes. It's Arsenal 1, Manchester United 0. Inside the Arsenal penalty area, lays it square, it's struck low and it's hit the post. It was Fred with his left foot, a good, precise, low effort on goal, and it hit the foot of the post, then it hit Leno and it's gone behind. Lukaku receiving the ball from Rashford, still Lukaku round the keeper, blocked, and then a cross, and Dalot will try and keep it in and does so. Leno did well initially, in comes the cross again towards Rashford, away by Sokratis, and then Aubameyang. Matic tries to get forward, Arsenal finally clear Lukaku. Well, it was an excellent opening half, I think, entertainment-wise. Still a bizarre goal. We're still debating, Paul, aren't we, whether it was really caught by the wind or whether it was just a freakish piece of movement off Xhaka's right boot.
Well, someone's going to have to really prove it to me that it's had nothing to do with the wind, and it was just one of those strikes that you can never do again where it moves all over the place. But just by the way he struck it, it didn't seem to me that he struck across it to make that movement. But just by the way that David De Gea was kind of gesturing and himself, talking to himself maybe, he just could not understand that movement at all of that ball.
Yeah, it was a peculiar goal. I mean, if you analyse the first half overall, I think you probably could argue that Manchester United will feel a little bit hard done by, that they're not at least level. I mean, they hit the woodwork twice and arguably had more of the creative impetus and more of the attacking impetus in those 45 minutes.
Yeah, they looked the side more likely to make something happen when they did go forward. Arsenal have had a little bit of good fortune defensively. They've had a little bit of counter-attacks, and everything their bits that's happened in that final third, it's kind of been wind assisted. The two centre halves have struggled with balls in the air, and it's kind of, do we attack it or do we wait to see the outcome? You never wait to see the outcome when the ball's in the air. You don't let it bounce. You get in, one of you goes and tries to deal with it straight away, the other one covers behind. But it's about the second half for Manchester United, and Arsenal and the fans know that Manchester United are maybe one of the best comeback teams in the Premier League history. The way they come back, and you know, they come back from games where they seemed lost. This game they're not out of it, they're still in it, they're playing well, but when they do come back, they know they come back strong. So Arsenal have to be on their guard and not allow United to score the next goal, I should say, in the game. Because I'll say it again, if United score the next goal, they will go on and win the game.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Of course, United did it on Tuesday night, talking about comebacks. I mean, that was one of the great comebacks by them. I think Arsenal will be pleased, I suppose, that they've kept a clean sheet, because defensively they've certainly not been one of the better teams in the Premier League this season. They've always looked vulnerable, and yet, although United have pressed and come close on occasions, Arsenal defended fairly well for you?
They've gone in, they haven't conceded,
No.
so you're going to have to say
Yeah.
it's well. There's no other way you can say about it. I still think they're still a little bit rocky, but I think somewhere along the line, Martial's going to get on that pitch. I think you see him there, and I think he might just bring him on just to add that, because he knows in wide areas. You look on the left-hand side, you look at Luke Shaw's had a lot of joy on that side. You add Martial to the mix on that left-hand side, maybe Rashford can you go from middle to right.
Yeah.
That adds that little bit more width, and that's where it's come from. So maybe that change could happen quite early in the second half if they haven't got themselves back into the game.
Just a reminder that Liverpool were victorious by 4-2 over Burnley in the early kick-off, 2 apiece for Firmino and Sadio Mane, narrowing the gap at the top to Manchester City to 1 point and more. Well, dramatically, perhaps the gap now between second and third in the Premier League is 12 points. There's a real battle, of course, going on involving the two clubs that we're watching, Tottenham Hotspur, who lost yesterday, and Chelsea, who just prior to this game finished 1-1 against Wolverhampton Wanderers. They needed a very late equaliser from Eden Hazard. So the situation at the moment is that Tottenham have 61 points in third. Arsenal, were they to win this game, have 60, Manchester United 58 and Chelsea 57. So only 4 points separating 4 teams who are all bidding for 2 Champions League places behind the top 2, as they will surely finish Manchester City and Liverpool at the end of the season. So the next 45 minutes If Manchester United can come back and win it, they'd be level on points with Spurs. Whatever happens, I think it's going to be a nervous second half for Tottenham fans as much as Arsenal and United fans, because the wheels are coming off there, aren't they?
Well, they are at the moment in time, but on many occasions with Tottenham, they've come back from situations, they've fought back and they've dug deep for their manager. And I think we've seen that there's continuity in the way they're playing. You can see there's unity as well. So no one would be surprised if Tottenham were to come back from this situation strong.
Yeah, well, Tottenham fans will be hoping that's certainly the case. Both they and Manchester United, of course, are through to the Champions League quarter-finals, and will eagerly await the draw of that one later this week. Here it's a 0-0 to Arsenal. It's Granit Xhaka who's scored it on 12 minutes under slightly peculiar circumstances. United, though, have tried as hard as they can to get back into the game, but at the moment they've been thwarted by a combination of Bernd Leno and the woodwork and some reasonable defending by Arsenal. When we come back, we'll have the whole of the second half live. It's been a terrific listen so far. Don't go away. We've got the conclusion of this heavyweight clash. Arsenal against Manchester United coming up. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the Ultimate Football Fan Tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends a shot, what a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's readying himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2.
Here's Maddison for Leicester.
Vardy chance, Vardy goal. Leicester City out of nowhere have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Cardiff City legend Danny Gavidan joins us on the preview show. He's got some new teeth. The former Millwall captain Matt Lawrence with us on the preview show. Former Liverpool striker Neil Mellor is on the preview show this week.
Subscribe to the podcast today at TalkSport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Arsenal against Manchester United from the Emirates Stadium. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Manchester United and England fullback, Paul Parker. You're listening to Premier League Live with the two teams back out in the centre in this fine stadium in North London. Arsenal leading by 1-0, scored by Granit Xhaka. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, hands in pockets, deep in thought, and hoping that his Manchester United team, who he sent out early. Actually, no sign of Arsenal yet emerging from the tunnel. United are back out on the pitch in their sort of dark navy blue strip, with the exception being David De Gea, clad all in orange, a principal figure in that opening half, with the shot by Xhaka, which completely wrong-footed him and ended up in the back of the net. United hit the post twice, produced some good attacking football. Arsenal's reaction to that, though, was to maintain a clean sheet, and the Gunners are coming out now for the second half. It's a windy day, as we've seen. Arsenal wearing their traditional strip. Manchester United is in an away strip today. The referee is John Moss, who hasn't always got everything right in the first half, but he hasn't had any particularly huge decisions to make yet on another weekend in which refereeing and VAR and controversy have dominated the headlines, really. Here's Nacho Monreal for Arsenal, just driving it forward up towards Lacazette. The ball goes out of play. Arsenal have Bernd Leno in goal. A back three of Socrates, Laurent Koscielny and Nacho Monreal. Across the middle, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Granit Xhaka the goal scorer, Aaron Ramsey and Sead Kolasinac. Up front, Alexandre Lacazette, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Mesut Ozil. For United, it's David De Gea in goal. A back four of Ashley Young, Chris Smalling, Victor Lindelof and Luke Shaw. In front of them, Nemanja Matic and Fred. And then Diogo Dalot, Paul Pogba and Marcus Rashford, with Romelu Lukaku up front. Here's Dalot finding Lukaku, and Dalot's peeled away right-hand side. This is useful. Low cross by the young Portuguese fullback is cleared by Socrates and goes away for a throw-in, as Manchester United, winner of a record 20 English titles, 2 ahead of Liverpool at the moment, but that gap will close, of course, if Liverpool are triumphant this season. They've won this morning, or this early afternoon, against Burnley by 4-2, a result which leaves Burnley still deep inside the relegation zone. They're only 2 points off the bottom 3. Clearance by De Gea up towards halfway. Nacho Monreal to Xhaka, dispossessed by Fred. Here's Matic, that's a good ball. And Leno did really well coming all the way out to get there ahead of Lukaku, chip it to his right-hand side and then play a decent ball down the line. That was good goalkeeping by the German.
Well, good goalkeeping, and should maybe look for a job at right back as well, because he read the situation first of all as a centre half. He takes the ball wide, and when he gets near the touchline, he lifts his head and he sees someone making a run in behind. It was a lovely little pass, but I felt Lukaku should have done better there. Really thought he could have got to that ball a lot quicker than he actually showed.
Yeah, he didn't look quite as committed as he should.
Yep.
Good touch by Leno, who's got a birthday coming up. He's about to turn 27. The ball is at the other end of the field at the moment, with Arsenal looking to attack. And that corner of the ground is where the noisiest group of Arsenal fans are situated, low in that tier. Here's Lacazette. Good skill by him. It's a lovely run by Lacazette. He finds Aubameyang. Lacazette goes down in the box. I think we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he slid. If he didn't, it's potentially a dive. Lacazette, who's scored in the last 4 home games, so he's looking to equal a sequence last achieved by Thierry Henry back in 2004 of 5 in 5 home games, but he did slither over there. It wasn't in any way a dive. Aye Yankee is listening to us in Ghana. He says, I don't see the sense in watching EPL live on TV when TalkSport is available. Great work, you guys. The feeling is more than watching live matches. That's from Kobe in Ghana. Thanks very much for that. Glad you're enjoying the coverage. The ball's just whistled over the Arsenal bar from Marcus Rashford with an ambitious attempt from fairly long distance.
Not that ambitious after the shot we saw in the first half.
Yeah, well, he hit one that was nearer the corner flag than the goal, didn't he? He's getting closer. He's setting his side. What about his penalty kick? I mean, people forget he's 21 years old, Marcus Rashford. He's never taken a penalty in a senior game before. He's in a Champions League round of 16 game. If he scores, they're through. If he misses, they're out. Fantastic composure from the boy, I think.
Yeah, it certainly was, and I don't think he would have been allowed to, or maybe even would have taken that penalty a few months back, by the way, if he was in that similar situation.
Here's Ozil, tackled by Matic, no foul. Ozil's gone flat onto the ground with his arms out, appealing. Nothing's been given. Nemanja Matic plays a diagonal ball towards Dalot. Has he got the pace to get there? Yes, he has. He's got to the byline. Chance for Dalot to measure across, cuts it in. Dummy by Pogba. Here's Fred. It's blocked in the box by Koscielny. Comes out again to Paul Pogba. Pogba to Fred again. And now Rashford. He's got Shaw one side. Here's Lukaku, who took too long about his shot, and Leno managed to get back and somehow diverted over the crossbar. He wasn't decisive enough, Lukaku. It was a wonderful golden opportunity. Was he offside? That's the question. Leno wasn't to know that. It's a brilliant save by the Arsenal keeper.
Was he? We have to say as well, he worked well. Marcus Rashford plays a lovely ball through and he's onside, but his first touch on the outside of his left foot actually goes a little bit behind him. Goes behind him when he should have, if anything, hits it first time, or his first touch should have been out of his feet and at least to the side of him, but he doesn't. He takes the ball back. That allows Leno to close him down. Wonderful goalkeeping, but we have to say poor finishing on Lukaku's start.
Second time Lukaku has spurned a golden opportunity. He should have two today to add to the two that he's got in each of his last three games, including the Parc des Princes on Tuesday night in the Champions League. As we mentioned, he's never scored for Manchester United against Arsenal, but he's had two really good opportunities to put that right. Looking for his 16th goal of the season. There's an injury, meanwhile, to an Arsenal player. It's Laurent Koscielny, who's holding the back of his left calf. I didn't see what the incident was. The ball cannoned into Koscielny, who blocked a shot initially. There were cries of handball, hopefully from the United fans, but we saw it again. It was clearly off his chest. But since then, Koscielny has gone down injured. It's his 250th Premier League appearance today, Laurent Koscielny. He's actually scored 3 goals in his last 6 Premier League games, which is not bad for a central defender. Anthony Martial is warming up on the sidelines for Manchester United. They've been without him for a little spell, 5 games out with a groin injury. He could return, and we shall see about what happens to Koscielny. I've got Shkodran Mustafi, of course, on the bench, who would be the office replacement. Koscielny is hobbling off quite markedly.
I think he was involved in a collision. It was him and Leno who's made both closing down. He was stretching out, so I don't know if he's had a collision with a goalkeeper.
McCoy Maverick, laudable job by TalkSport. Come on, you Gunners. He's in Accra, Ghana. Only half cleared from the corner. And Pogba tries to get in there, and then the referee blows his whistle for some sort of infringement. There was an absolute almighty tangle of legs going on in the penalty area.
But I don't know how he's managed to make a decision on which way that was going. That was just bodies clashing. There was 1 against 3, and he's given the foul against the 1. That generally doesn't happen, does it, really?
No,
3 against 1.
It was one of those ones where the ball was pinging around, people were looking at it, was bouncing up, it was coming off heads. Yeah,
there was nothing really there.
Seemed to be anything untoward about it, I'd have to say. Here's Pogba, half tackled by Ramsey, who seemed to be caught by a flailing arm from Pogba. I don't think it was deliberate.
Just has to be sharper there. Pogba gets the ball in a lovely position in behind the line of the midfield. Instead of taking it out and going forward, he takes it back and he catches in. I think there was a little bit. I think he had an idea of what he was doing there. To be honest,
he was sent off, wasn't he, against Paris Saint-Germain in the first leg? He missed the second through suspension. He missed a penalty against Southampton last weekend. So I thought a few things that could have been better in recent weeks. Paul Pogba. The referee has been lenient. I think he said that there wasn't any harm in that, but. Some referees might have seen that as something a little more sinister. Here's Fred for United, finding Pogba with a chance to get forward in midfield. Tries to thread it through to Dalot. Well intercepted by Kolasinac. Under pressure now from Lukaku, but manages to get a forward ball to Xhaka, who finds Lacazette. Lacazette away from Matic. Lacazette has a look to see who's to his right-hand side. Maitland-Niles is arriving. Here's Ramsey. Ramsey on the turn. The cross block swept away by Matic to Pogba. Pogba to Lukaku, who spins away from Monreal. Does well. Lukaku still under a bit of pressure, but manages to find Rashford. Back to Lukaku again for Manchester United in the 10th minute of the second half. He's had to go backwards towards the halfway line. Fred plays a square ball to Pogba. Arsenal have got everyone back now. It's with Ashley Young, the Manchester United captain, forward to Diego Dalot, and now Young again. Well, the United fans are trying to make themselves heard. The Arsenal fans responding vociferously. It's a high-octane atmosphere inside the Emirates Stadium at the moment. Arsenal still leading 1-0 through Granit Xhaka's 12th minute goal. Here's Luke Shaw for Manchester United. Down the line it goes to Paul Pogba. Pogba with a little flick cleverly. And United have won it back via Rashford. Pogba finds Fred. Fred trying to find space for a shot. Still has it, but can't find the ball through to Dalot. It's intercepted by Kolasinac, who's on his way. He's got a man out wide. It's Ozil. Great tackle though by Ashley Young, who wants the throw. It's given United's way. Has he taken it from the wrong spot? What's happened here now? The referee has stopped play because there's an Arsenal injury inside the penalty area up at the other end. Philip Presido wonders via Twitter whether United will win the game since they're now playing with the wind. Well, it might be worth a shot on goal. Maitland-Niles is the player who's injured. He's holding his calf.
I think he's got cramp, the way he's reacting now.
Well, he shouldn't have really. He's back in the side, Maitland-Niles, one of 5 changes. He's missed the last 3. He's been suffering from this dreadful illness. I don't know if you've had a touch of it. There's been a flu that's been going around. It's been hanging around for weeks. I had it very mildly, but some people have been bedridden by it. I know Eric Dyer, the Tottenham Hotspur midfield player, missed 4 games, I think. Maitland-Niles missed 3. Give me a chance to read some tweets. Bilal Ali says, snowy morning in Minneapolis. He always mutes the TV to listen to our commentary instead of theirs. Thank you to TalkSport, he says. And to all Gunners in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, is that right? Minnesota, I think. Wusu Eniola Samuel. This will be an intriguing and gruelling battle for the top 4 this season. Every game counts from now on, you're not wrong. Listener in Nigeria. And another frustrated United fan, Bala Monsuro, Omo West, Lukaku and Pogba should please start taking the chances they are missing at the moment. Lukaku certainly. Here is Pogba on the ball now. He's shrugged off. It's a foul by Aubameyang, and it gives Manchester United a free kick in a very useful position.
He was looking for something there, Pogba. He didn't have a lot of places to go. He was just looking to keep the ball. He's waiting for someone to come across, and Aubameyang come back trying to do a job defensively. It just gives Manchester United an opportunity to have a shot at goal with this wind, which I don't know if it's behind them, it's against them, or it's swirling around everywhere. But it's all over the place.
It certainly favoured Xhaka in the first half, but this is not far away from the distance. There's a big conversation going on between Pogba, Fred and Rashford. The ball is about 22 yards from goal, slightly to the left of centre. Fred is just placing the ball at the moment. He hasn't scored since he netted against Wolves earlier in the season. Pogba just takes a few steps back. He looks the most likely to hit it, Paul Pogba. This could be a test for Bernd Leno. Pogba steps up, steps over it. Rashford hits it, and it whizzes just wide. Clever by Manchester United, because all three of them shaped to shoot, and in the end Rashford, who was the furthest back, hit it fairly well. But it was always going past Leno's left-hand post.
Yeah, it was going to the side that always favoured the goalkeeper, so it's going to have to be inch perfect to do that. But it was all about power. I just think sometimes, and I'm no great expert at actually executing it, but you just got sometimes these conditions hit the target and ask the question of the goalkeeper. That was done in the first half, and that gave Arsenal this 1-0 lead.
Referee stopped the game, Mr. Ugbu, listening to your superb, addictive commentaries out in cool, breezy Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Great job, I never missed the show, thank you very much indeed. That was addictive. Christian Elliott, I think the referee has not had a good game today, too many wrong calls, listening also in Port Harcourt. I know we get a lot of listeners there in Nigeria. Keep the tweets coming. Still 1-0 to Arsenal. Goal as early as the 12th minute continues to separate these two great clubs as we tick past the hour mark on the clock. United have had the better of the second half so far overall, but they can't find a way through at the moment. Oh, here's Lacazette, flattened by Lindelof.
And Lindelof's asking what he's just took him down.
Always taken quickly the free kick. Here's Kolasinac inside the United area. Not a very good ball to Mesut Ozil though. Despite that, the German former international has kept it in. It's down the line by Lacazette. Kolasinac can't reach it, and Manchester United will have a goal kick. Here's Matic to Smalling, and now Shaw. No changes yet from either manager. Rashford pushes the ball square towards Ashley Young. Manchester United injuries mean that they've got young Mason Greenwood on their substitute bench. He came on as a sub in the Champions League and became their youngest ever player in that competition. Second youngest Manchester United player ever in Europe, after Norman Whiteside, who you'll remember well, Paul. A terrific player, scored a winning goal in a cup final, didn't he, back in the 80s?
It's amazing. Norman's a year younger than me.
He's a bit bigger than you, isn't he?
Yes.
He was never the most svelte of players, was he?
That's always an easy one to say, he's bigger than me.
I wasn't being rude, by the way. Here's Kolasinac finding Ozil. There might be something on here for Arsenal. It's Aubameyang inside the box. It deflects. And kindly for United, because it lands at the feet of Matic. Here's Maitland-Niles. Clever 1-2 with Lacazette. Maitland-Niles tries to lift it into the United box. Only half cleared by Shaw. Eventually Ashley Young acrobatically over his shoulder gets the ball clear. Xhaka plays a poor ball forward. And a promising spell of forward play by Arsenal comes to nothing, which is applauded by Unai Emery.
I think he's applauding because it's the first time he's actually seen his team do anything promising going forward, because they haven't been in this second half so far. It's all been about United. It's just been United in the final third just haven't been clinical with their passing, and obviously they weren't clinical with their shooting as well, as testified by Lukaku, when he should have hit that one, in my opinion, first time.
Here's Young, manages to find Rashford. Rashford away from Xhaka and still driving forward. He's got a break on the far side with Shaw if he can see him. It's not a very good ball by Marcus Rashford. He had plenty of time to measure his pass there, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles was able to just slide in and get the ball out of play on the far side for a Manchester United throw. 63 minutes gone at the Emirates. Arsenal have only kept 5 clean sheets in the Premier League this season.
You can see how that can happen.
Yeah.
United just have, at the moment, of making Arsenal look better defensively, because they just haven't worked them hard enough.
No. Lukaku's missed their 2 best chances, really. Interesting point from Amachi Nwankwo. It's not really to do with this game. He says he doesn't really know why the English press don't give enough credit to Raheem Sterling like it is given to Rashford and other young English players. I think he's one of the best players to come out of England, if not the best. I mean, I don't know. I think he is beginning to get his plaudits, Sterling. I mean, he's being touted as a potential footballer of the year. He got a hat-trick yesterday. Anyway, here's United coming forward with Romelu Lukaku, just lays it off to Ashley Young, midway inside the Arsenal half. Young to Lukaku, and now Pogba, and unfortunately for Fred, his crossfield ball hits Pogba, but United have it back with Paul Pogba, just trying to get away from his man. Rashford is in the box, tries to spin and turn, and Leno again. Well, Leno, on all the occasions where he's been one-on-one with a United striker, has done the right thing and has clung on, and he's done it again 4 times now.
His reading of the game has been absolutely fantastic for a goalkeeper. Every single time he's got it right, and I don't think Rashford could do any more. You might question he might have turned the wrong way, but in the end it was about the keeper's closing down. Doesn't matter which way he turned, the keeper was there straight on top of him even before he could even think about where he was going to actually put the ball when he actually got on it.
Yes, his decision-making's been excellent. We've had 20 minutes of the second half. Ainsley Maitland-Niles throws in for Arsenal towards Lacazette near the corner flag on the far side, just shadowed at the moment by Chris Smalling. Arsenal emerge with possession. Maitland-Niles finds Ozil. Ozil, clever ball. Ramsey back heel, intercepted by Matic, who can't clear it properly, and Ramsey has it in the box. Ozil, square ball. Xhaka hits it! Almost had his second goal of the game. He hit it left-footed this time, and he hit it too straight. It's gone past the post by a couple of yards or so.
Yeah, I have to say that's a difficult one for Xhaka. That's come across on the right, and he's let it run across to his left foot. To hit that right, it's always going to be difficult. Maybe he could have cut across that on the outside of his left foot, which is obviously his favourite foot. Then it might have been an even better shot for him.
Ball is pinged kindly off Kolasinac from Dalot's throw ball right into the arms of Bernd Leno. Kazim Lugman Abiodun has got his heart in his mouth. He hopes United win. Great commentary, thank you. Check my pinned tweet. That's a weird name. Edem Reigns. Lots of Ghanaians listening to you guys. The atmosphere is better than watching TV. Greetings from La Paz in Ghana. I thought La Paz was in Bolivia. Very different La Paz. 66 minutes gone. Arsenal 1, Manchester United 0. Listening to Premier League Live in the final game of the Premier League weekend. Tottenham Hotspur will, when they glance over their shoulders, find one of these two teams behind them. But which one will it be? At the moment, it could potentially be Arsenal by a point. But if United win, it would be them level on points with Tottenham Hotspur. Here's Young for Manchester United. Clever touch by Fred, and then a good ball forward by Dalot to Pogba. Pogba to Fred. Fred trying to find space for a shot. Brilliant tackle by Socrates that's put Fred on his backside and has put Arsenal on the front foot. Aaron Ramsey coming forward. Ramsey scored a breakaway goal, of course, against Tottenham last weekend. This time he's found Lacazette. Lacazette's ball cross blocked by Smalling, but Lacazette will get a second chance. This time it's a ball back to Xhaka. Xhaka's got Maitland-Niles away to his right-hand side. Ainsley Maitland-Niles to Granit Xhaka, whose goal Arsenal continue to defend. They're looking to try and build on it here, perhaps. And Lacazette has the ball into the United penalty area. All the way he goes down. He's given a penalty, John Moss. Yeah. Well, it's debatable. Fred was the man who collided with Lacazette. My initial reaction, which the naked eye, was there didn't seem to be a lot of contact. Well, what do you think, Paul?
Well, the problem is that Lacazette's made that surge into the box. Fred's come across on the inside and got his right thigh across him. His arm's gone forward as well. The referee sees the movement of his arm from behind and believes there's been a push. And that's what he's seen. I'm saying it. The camera's it's been shown to me in a replay, and it looks like a penalty.
Yeah, but so you're saying it was a penalty?
Well, for the referee, for what the referee's seen, I have to say yes.
Well, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, whose penalty, of course, was saved by Hugo Lloris last weekend against Tottenham Hotspur, has the ball under his arm and is breathing heavily. United are protesting. I'm not entirely convinced there was enough contact there to warrant a penalty kick. John Moss has decided that there was. And
he's just gone with what he's seen, the way it looked to him. There was no way near enough contact, but the way it looked.
It's Aubameyang against De Gea, and he scores. Well, he missed one last weekend. There was no mistake this time, and Arsenal lead by 2-0. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's proud record domestically of not having lost a game as manager could be about to come to an end, because it's come with only 21 minutes left in the match. Aubameyang's penalty, controversially awarded, makes it Arsenal 2, Manchester United 0.
Well, that's come against the run of play, the goal, the penalty. I have to say, the way it looked to the referee, it looked like there was contact initially with the thigh going up against maybe the knee of Lacazette, and he actually pushes his arm forward as well. Do they deserve to be 2-0 up? No, they don't, Arsenal, but they are. United just haven't done enough in the final third to warrant being in this game at this moment in time.
I think he went down too easily. I don't think there was a massive amount of push from Fred. He had his arm out, but he's running anyway. It's a natural. I don't know.
Well, the problem
it's another controversial one. It's another one where would VAR have sorted that out? I'm not sure it would. I mean, VAR in that situation would simply be someone else's opinion. Who knows? Anyway, United have decided to make a change. Anthony Martial has replaced Diogo Dalot, so Ole Gunnar Solskjaer clearly feels that there is enough time for another classic comeback. Goodness knows, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's been the comeback king, hasn't he, for Manchester United, both as a player and, of course, now as a manager. Given what happened on Tuesday, Arsenal and their supporters will be mindful of that. And we're in for an absolutely cracking final 20 minutes. Hang on to your hats, because this will be entertaining. United, a little unfortunate, as you say. It was against the run of play, really, that goal. They've been the better team in the second half, United, but it doesn't matter, because they now have to claw back 2 goals. Here's it's a mistake. Lacazette can get a third here, and he's put it wide. United sloppy at the back. They misjudged a bouncing ball. Lindelof made a mess of it. Lacazette was in behind him, and he's hit it with his right foot, but he's hit it across the face of goal and wide of De Gea's post. Awful defending by Lindelof, not great finishing by Lacazette either.
Now we have to say Lindelof and Smalling have struggled with the balls in the air. Anything that's bounced in front of them, they haven't dealt with it, haven't looked comfortable. And the one that Lindelof done there is something. Let's call it a schoolboy error, because that was just poor decision making. Just didn't set himself up and got away with it. Could have been 3-0, game over.
Well, it's 2-0. Anthony Martial is on, scorer of 11 goals this season. 5 games out with a groin injury. They've missed him. There's someone has run onto the pitch. It's just an idiot. We'll just ignore him. Don't worry about that. Although there was a horrendous incident there was a local derby in the Championship, Birmingham City against Aston Villa, where a Birmingham City fan ran onto the pitch and punched Jack Grealish, the Aston Villa midfield player, in the penalty area. That person was arrested, and absolutely shocking incident. You don't want to ever see people on the field of play. It is a criminal offence to run onto the pitch during a game. Here's Pogba. He's been dispossessed by Ramsey. Ramsey was fouled, and it's a free kick to Arsenal, who are now 17.5 minutes away from a famous victory against a team who they have tangled with so often down the years. The classic confrontation between Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger was a real scenario for many years in Premier League football. United have got a draw and a win against Arsenal so far this season. Are Arsenal going to get their revenge for that cup exit here? Manchester United, of course, will be involved in cup action next weekend against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Arsenal's next game is the return leg against Rennes here in the Europa League. That'll be interesting, trailing by 3-1 in that one. This is Arsenal's last game of the season against fellow members of the Big Six, whereas Manchester United have got games still to play at home to Chelsea and at home to Arsenal. To Chelsea. Short corner by Arsenal. There's the header from Socrates, and it's knocked away from around the goal line area by Lukaku. Fred is fouled. The ball comes back in. It's a free kick to Manchester United. And City at home and Chelsea at home for Manchester United. There'll be big games. Look forward to bringing those to you on Premier League Live, as we do every single one of the 380 games there are each season. This one's been a good one. It's been entertaining. Arsenal are making a substitution of their own. It looks like Alex Iwobi is about to come on. Scorer in that dreadful performance against Rennes. It was a goal early on inside 3 minutes, and you thought, this is potentially going to be a straightforward game for Arsenal. But Rennes played really well. Arsenal played really poorly, and they've got everything to do to try and get themselves into the next round of the Europa League. Chelsea won their game 3-0 against Dinamo Kiev in that competition and should be fairly safe. We've got to find out this week whether Manchester City and Liverpool join Manchester United and Spurs in the quarter-finals of the Champions League. Liverpool 0-0 with Bayern Munich. They're away from home. City 3-2 up at home to Schalke 04, the German side. Here's Luke Shaw for Manchester United. Got a quarter of an hour to try and maintain Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's unbeaten domestic record, but here's Xhaka. Was he pulled back by Pogba? Yes, he was. Pogba's furious, but the card is out, and John Moss is going to book the World Cup winner.
I don't know where his frustration is at. I don't know if it's saying about not being a foul or just the way the game's going at the moment.
You just wonder whether maybe Pogba should channel his frustration in a more positive manner. Mesut Ozil's going off. He's getting a good ovation for his shift today from the Arsenal fans. What do you make of his performance today? A lot of people expected him to be left out of this one. He's flitted in and out as he always does.
Well, I would say he's not playing the next game. I believe he would have no right to go knocking on the manager's door to ask why.
Yeah, fair point. Iwobi's on. Off goes Mesut Ozil. It'll be an interesting game on Thursday against Rennes. It'll be one of those where Arsenal will be looking to get an early goal to try and just put the cat amongst the pigeons. Here's Kolasinac finding Iwobi with his first touch. He's tackled by Fred. Ramsey wins it, but not for long, and suddenly Rashford's on his way for United at pace, and he is quick, of course. It's Marcus Rashford across field. Again, he hasn't found the pass, and it's been intercepted by Maitland-Niles, but a heavy touch by him allows Luke Shaw to pick out Anthony Martial on the far side. Martial's deflected cross towards Lukaku. It's gone behind, and I think Lukaku's been penalised. Not really enjoying the refereeing performance today, are you?
No, well, that was... I mean, he's just played to a shout there. Absolute shout. He hears a shout. Someone screaming. A 6 foot plenty centre-half screams out like a 5'2" midget been squashed by a tractor. And then all of a sudden, there's a foul. You've got to remember, it's two grown men jumping for the ball together.
Yeah, it did seem a bit fussy. 13 and a half minutes left at the Emirates. Arsenal 2, Manchester United 0. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Premier League record prior to this, played 12, won 10, drawn 2. Only Burnley and Liverpool had taken points off Manchester United in the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. 32 points from 36. Here's Shaw, good ball towards Martial, covered by Maitland-Niles. I think we might be coming back for a free kick here because Martial might have been just clipped as he played that ball for Shaw, and it is a free kick to Manchester United, about 15 yards inside the Arsenal half. Luke Shaw will take it. Up goes Matic and Lindelof and Smalling. United need something here desperately. Shaw's ball into the box. Smalling meets it. And again, the referee has awarded a free kick to Arsenal for a push inside the penalty area. Kolasinac has gone down.
what he does, Kolasinac, he makes a back and he grips you and he holds you in the back. That's why Chris Shaw looks like he's climbing the ladder on him. He's actually pinned him down. So every time, if he moves Smalling, it looks like he's given a foul away. And the referee has fell for it twice now.
Mason Greenwood is about to come on for Manchester United. Well, it's not so long ago that a young unknown called Marcus Rashford, who just scored his debut in the Europa League, came into a game against Arsenal and scored twice in a Manchester United win here. He's gone on to great things. Mason Greenwood looking to follow in his footsteps as the rain starts pouring down in North London. The reason you're tutting is that Fred's been penalised again for a foul, and we're going to see a substitution by both of these two managers. Denis Suarez is going to come on for the Gunners, who's on loan from Barcelona, with whom he's won a title and a couple of cups. Had a very, very brief spell at Manchester City, although he made no appearances for them. Spanish international. He's on. And Mason Greenwood, age 17. This will depress you. He was born in October 2001. He's been prolific at under-18 level for Manchester United. He's made his debut in the Champions League, so what a week for him. He's on in the Premier League as well. Luke Shaw away for United, up towards Martial, but it's going to fall at the feet of Maitland-Niles, who finds Granit Xhaka, who got the opening goal. Here's Iwobi. Kolasinac on the march down the left-hand side, gets his foot round the ball, plays a low ball in, but it's gathered easily by David De Gea. Mason Greenwood is wearing number 54 for Manchester United. He's an England under-17 international. Here's Ashley Young on halfway. First touch for young Greenwood in the Premier League. They had a couple of other young players, one in action in particular, Tahith Chong, who played in that extraordinary win in the Parc des Princes. He's not scared of throwing youngsters in, is he, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
No, it's kind of part of Manchester United's culture, about young players coming through. It's what everyone wants to see. The fans wanted to see it, now they're seeing it.
Here's Pogba finding Shaw over on the far side. 9 minutes left in a now rainy Emirates as Martial just clips it back to Smalling. Here's Pogba. Pogba just rolls it out to Mason Greenwood on the far side. Touched by the youngster into the path of Pogba again. Pogba plays it square to Young. United still not able to find a way through, but here's Lukaku, who's peeled away on the right-hand side. Back in field to Young. Young to Fred. Fred towards Shaw. I don't think he's going to keep it in. No, he's not. To the glee of the Arsenal supporters in that section, which is the closest to the United supporters, who were standing looking rather stock still and miserable in the wet conditions. Their team trailing by 2-0. They've probably forgotten, some of them, what it's like to lose a game. The last time Manchester United lost in the Premier League was at Anfield in December, and it led to the sacking of Jose Mourinho. Since then they've had pretty much everything their own way, but not today. It looks like that crowd record is about to come to an end unless we get a dramatic finale. Here's Shaw running into trouble. Good tackle by Socrates. He's played well today. And Arsenal come forward with Suarez. It's a good run by the Spaniard. He's found Iwobi, and Iwobi's trying to return the compliment. Unfortunately for Manchester United, Fred was there just to jab it away. He had two players to contend with. Iwobi was one of them, and Fred got across and toe poked it for a throw-in on the far side, right in front of the noisiest section of Arsenal supporters.
We're going to see a lot of that now in the next 7 or 8 minutes. Little counter-attacks by Arsenal hitting Manchester United, because United can only now look to see if they can get at least one goal back. They can't sit back.
It's hammering down with rain now as we enter the last 7 minutes. Here's Lacazette, whose penalty, or the penalty that he won, allowed Aubameyang to make it 2-0. The ball's crossed the line. Is that a corner or a goal kick? It's a goal kick. Alex Iwobi's furious because he felt that John Moss has got it wrong again. I'd have to say about John Moss, he doesn't look the fittest of referees. He's certainly carrying more weight than you'd expect for someone who's job is to kind of try and keep up with play. I know it's difficult because the speed of the game is extraordinary, but he always looks slightly ponderous. Here's Ashley Young, forward to Romelu Lukaku. Iwobi trying to wrestle the ball away. It's Kolasinac infield to Xhaka, and now Suarez, who looks tidy on the ball since he came on. Iwobi, tackled by Young.
Oh, no, referee.
He was given a foul.
Well,
you've shouted, "Oh no, referee," quite a lot today.
Oh, I'm really surprised at that one now. I don't know how. That was just...
It looked a decent tackle.
It was a decent tackle.
He's been very pernickety, hasn't he? He's penalising things that you think, well, most referees would let it go.
Yeah. I mean, what is a foul? That is the thing. Everyone sees a foul differently.
Well, it looked like a tackle rather than a foul. Here's Xhaka. And now Nacho Monreal forward to Kolasinac, and Iwobi trying to shrug off the attentions of Ashley Young, but Young has it again. And that's nicely done by Fred to Pogba. Pogba across to Shaw. Shaw on the halfway line. He's got Martial just in front of him. Here is Martial, now the substitute. Back to Shaw. And now Pogba midway inside the Arsenal half-court ball. Easy interception for Maitland-Niles. Arsenal will look to just try and nurse the ball through the last 5 minutes and maintain this advantage that they have. It'll take them to within 1 point of Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs 61 points after taking just one from a possible 12 in the Premier League after that defeat by Southampton. Arsenal, if they win, and it looks as if they will, we're looking at the penalty again, Paul. How much contact between Fred and Lacazette? We're looking at it from all angles. Not much, is my opinion. I think Lacazette went down too easily.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, by the way. He did. A lot of players are doing that now, and they're fooling referees. He fell for that, the referee.
Yeah.
The speed he went down to the ground, Lacazette, that should have been a full-blown stretched arm, pushed down, and maybe even just pushed almost his head going into the grass. But he went down, and the first thing he done was look back and ask a question: was it a penalty? The referee said yes.
Well, he's come off now. Lacazette has been replaced by the 19-year-old striker Eddie Nketiah, who was a youth player at Chelsea before moving across London. He announced himself with a couple of goals in the League Cup against Norwich last season as a very young substitute. Bernd Leno drives the ball forward for Arsenal. He's had a good game, the keeper. He's been brave, he's been decisive, his decision-making's been good. Here's Rashford to Shaw, all the way back to David De Gea. He's had a fairly quiet second half by comparison. Short ball to Lindelof, back to De Gea. The wind being blown all across the stadium. The conditions are appalling now in North London. It's high wind and heavy rain. Here's Mason Greenwood. Can he make a name for himself for Manchester United? Running at the Arsenal defence. Tackled by Monreal, though. Trying to win it back. He's full of youthful vigour, Mason Greenwood. Here's Fred. And now Pogba. It's not over yet. Pogba lifts it forward. Martial's there. It's going to go away, I think. Or is it? No, yes. Well, it was an attempt to shepherd it out of play by Kolasinac. He didn't really do that. And Martial put his foot on the ball, but it squeezed under his foot and went away for a goal kick.
Yeah, that was another moment where he gets there, Kolasinac, but he doesn't want to be strong. He wants to throw himself to the floor to get a free kick. And he ends up doing it, but he ends up getting it wrong. And look, fortunately enough for him, Martial miscontrols it and takes the ball out for a goal kick.
Well, in really heavy rain now. There are 2.5 minutes left. Unai Emery's put the hood up on his quilted black top. Rainproof needed by everybody at the Emirates now. It's going to be a very wet walk back to the tube stations. Arsenal and Holloway Road, the two nearest ones on the Piccadilly line. Here's Marcus Rashford for United, purposefully forward and into the box. Great tackle by Maitland-Niles, who tracked him every inch of the way and got a foot in. And Arsenal are trying to counter now with Eddie Nketiah, who's brought down by Luke Shaw, and that's a good free kick to win for Arsenal with less than 2 minutes of normal time remaining. It'll slow everything up, and it'll give Arsenal an opportunity to dally over the free kick and use up a few more vital seconds. Denis Suarez, the Spanish substitute, is standing over the ball, wearing salmon pink boots. 1-2 with Xhaka. Again, it's good play by Suarez, who's managed to find Ramsey. Ramsey almost found Iwobi, but it was intercepted. Oh, goodness me, what's Kolasinac done there? He's clattered into his man, and it's a yellow card for the Bosnian fullback. It was very clumsy, and I suspect very deliberate by Kolasinac, who knew that there was going to be a potential counter-attack there if he didn't take some sort of action. I think they call that taking one for the team, don't they? Here's Lukaku, beaten in the air by Monreal. Now Greenwood, back to Young. Here's Rashford, back to Greenwood again. Greenwood again looking to try and show what he can do. Swirls the useful ball into the middle of the pitch for Pogba. Lukaku's lost it. Hasn't had the best game today, Lukaku, as he's missed he's missed United's 2 best chances, and they were very good chances. One onto the bar, and he had another one which was saved. Here's Martial. Martial to Greenwood, back to Anthony Martial. Another brilliant tackle by Maitland-Niles. He's another one who's performed well for Arsenal at right wing back. And here come Arsenal again. It's towards Iwobi. He's in a foot race with Ashley Young, and Ashley Young's won it despite being considerably older than Alex Iwobi. 33 against 22, and the 33-year-old won the chase. 5 minutes to be added on at the Emirates. Is there time for Manchester United, I wonder, to create another famous Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comeback? You'd suspect not. Here's Shaw finding Martial. Martial bearing down. Manchester United's club record run of 9 consecutive away wins is about to end, and Arsenal are about to extend an extraordinary record now to 9 Premier League home games, all victories. Here's Greenwood, shoots, blocked by Kolasinac, back to Mason Greenwood. He finds Ashley Young. Ashley Young steadies himself, plays a good cross in. Rashford's header has gone straight at Leno. That needed to go in for United. Rashford's put it straight at the keeper. Simple save, and surely that's the last chance gone.
We have to say he could have, he was on his own as well. He's poorly marked. He couldn't do any more with a header. He was stretching for it, and he's headed it downwards, but it's straight into the keeper's arms. As good as it's been, really. I mean, they started off quite brightly in the second half. Manchester United just haven't really taken the game on anymore, really. Arsenal scored against a run of play. That's proved decisive now. That second goal, that penalty, is the one that's broken the camel's back, really.
It has. Well, rather like the rain at the Emirates, the tweets have been pouring in. My apologies, I haven't literally not had time really to glance up and have a look. There's so much going on the field, and it's it was such a potentially dramatic finale. I think it's drifted away from Manchester United now. We've had 2 of the 5 minutes to be added on, and it's the Arsenal fans who are singing in the rain at the Emirates Stadium. Here's Ashley Young, just teases it back to Fred to Martial edge of the Arsenal penalty area. You never know if they can get one here. Martial's got round the back, gets to the byline. Who did it come off last? It came off him. It's a goal kick. Martial has a pained expression on his face in the realisation that he got the last touch, and United would not get a corner kick. We've got a wonderful view of the wind and the rain and the floodlights in North London. And that rain, the way it's moving, it just tells you how much the wind is swirling around. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to taste defeat for only the second time as Manchester United manager, and for the first time in domestic football. I wouldn't say they've been well beaten today. I think it's been a fairly even game. The penalty awarded was debatable. The goal which Arsenal got certainly had an element of fortune about it, but United didn't take their chances, and that's perhaps where it's gone wrong for them. Lukaku in particular wasteful in front of goal, and Arsenal are very close now to beating Manchester United.
Just needed Lukaku to be clinical in that one in the first half. That was the one.
Yeah. Well, in this third meeting of the season, Arsenal have squared it up between these two. One draw, one Manchester United win, and now one Arsenal win. And it's a 9th consecutive away win for Arsenal. That's an extraordinary record. Home win, I should say. I beg your pardon. Their away record's awful. In fact, they've got 60 prior to today. 67% of Arsenal's points had come at home. Here's Ashley Young. We're in the final minute of the 5 to be added on. He's found a square ball to Fred. Fred just lofts it forward. Martial is underneath it. Shaw is on the break. Still it's Martial. And still finds Rashford. Taps it back to Pogba. Pogba trying to find a way beyond Koscielny. Into the box for Lukaku. Lays it off badly. And Arsenal clear. It comes back to Lindelof. Lindelof into the box. Maitland-Niles, very good judgment. He's been excellent, Maitland-Niles, hasn't he?
He's got stronger and stronger as the game's gone on, to be perfectly honest. His energy levels are good going forward, but now I think that little bit of cramp has set in there, and he's sat in there and he's defended, and he's proved himself a decent defender as well.
It's raining on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's parade, and it's raining hard. It's absolutely atrocious conditions. I mean, the wind and rain around here is quite extraordinary. We're used to rain in England, but this kind of rain combined with the sort of high winds that we're getting is quite unusual for this part of the world. But Arsenal are singing in the rain because they've beaten Manchester United by 2-0. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer tastes defeat for the first time domestically as Manchester United manager. Arsenal move to within 1 point of Tottenham Hotspur and 2 above Manchester United thanks to a goal by Granit Xhaka in the first half which deceived David De Gea in the win, followed by a penalty dubiously awarded for a foul on Alexandre Lacazette, which looked little more than a coming together. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang converted the penalty with 20 minutes left, and Arsenal have beaten Manchester United by 2-0. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the Ultimate Football Fan Tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends the shot, what a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's readying himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4,
Tottenham 2. Here's Maddison for Leicester.
Vardy chance! Vardy goal! Leicester City, out of nowhere, have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Cardiff City legend Danny Gavidan joins us on the preview show. He's got some new teeth. The former Millwall captain Matt Lawrence with us on the preview show. Former Liverpool striker Neil Mellor is on the preview show this week.
Subscribe to the podcast today at TalkSport.com.
This is Premier League Live.